Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you're having a great day and I hope you're ready for this. Once again, not only is the goose in the basket, but we're also reading an adventure of a saga. Today we're reading a saga about a mistress and a cheating husband. It's called My Husband is Currently on a Vacation with His Mistress and I'm Confronting Them. Got a feeling this one's gonna be wild. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to, and let's get into this. 6 years ago, my husband is currently on a vacation with his mistress and I'm confronting them. Hello Reddit, forgive me as I'm new to the online community. I just wanted to tell my story and maybe get some input. I, 37 female, accidentally found out last month that my husband, 38 male, was using work trips as an excuse to sleep with his also married co-worker who lives across the country. Gross. When I say accidentally, he sent me a screenshot of Amazon purchases for our children, and included at the bottom of the photo was a delivery to this woman. So yeah, the worried wife in me checked his search history and email, and it was all right there. I learned his November trip was a romantic getaway, but this current one's luxurious. A spa resort complete with couples massages, couples cooking classes, and monogrammed bathrobes from Etsy. He mailed her a box of gifts a few days ago for Christmas. How sweet. He purchases sexy lingerie, sent her money on Venmo, and even started planning a January trip to Vegas. I was furious when I learned all of this, but I kept my composure. He left this morning for his work trip, but before he left I gathered all evidence of his affair. I spent 4 weeks collecting emails, credit card statements, reservations, and confirmations. I wrote him a 10-page letter, put it in an envelope, and taped it inside the lining of his suitcase. I plan on sending a group text to him and his mistress right after check-in, telling them to enjoy their trip. I will also inform them that a letter's in his suitcase and that I want a divorce. I wrote a special section just for her, and I want to make sure she sees it, so I'll be emailing her the letter as well. He's currently in the air. My group text goes out this evening. Stay tuned. Update: his flight landed 1.5 hours ago. He told me he would text me when he landed, and he has yet to do so. I have texted him twice. They were delivered but not read. I checked our phone records and he texted both me and her during his layover. His email shows no Uber receipt from his final destination airport to his hotel. She must have picked him up. Something I probably should have clarified in my original post. She lives in the state that he's visiting, so he flew alone. I will be sending a group text to both him and his mistress in 2 hours, as that'll be 4 PM their time, and check-in. Update number 2, sent pictures of our children and he did not respond. FYI, he's in the middle of the desert. My texts are going through green, which puts a monkey wrench in my plan for a group text to him and his mistress. Need suggestion: should I call the hotel, connect right to their room? I worked so hard for this, it has to be tonight. Help. Update 3, thank you to everybody standing by and waiting. My best friend has come to my house to help me through this. It seems my texts are going through green, undelivered, but when my friend tried it, it's blue and delivered. He has blocked me. I guess that helps his guilt. The plan now is to call the hotel. We'll wait a few minutes after check-in to make the call. Very soon, please stand by. Update number 4, like most of you predicted, he does not care. He had 0 answers for my questions. That was the most hurtful part. But guess what? I have all the emotional support and economic support, so I'm not mad. Every question I asked, he had no response because his mistress was sitting there. I suspect when he's home alone with me, his answers will be different. I have made sure that he will not emotionally and financially me because I have secured support from family and friends. He can go himself. Update number 5, I called his hotel room, I talked to his mistress, and I finally lost my shit. He ended up calling me a few minutes later and had 0 empathy. I'm shocked, but I'm not. He said a divorce was in order and fought me on nothing. I expected him to be sad. He was not, but that's okay. I started packing up his shit. I have some great friends who have helped me put everything in the garage. Good riddance. I guess so. The morning after. I woke this morning broken. My house is in shambles as I went on a rampage yesterday, ripping photos off the wall, throwing his stuff in piles on the floor, breaking random objects in anger. Now that I've had a night's sleep, I feel that I'm a bit clearer in my thinking. As I analysed the conversation that we had yesterday, he was different on the phone. That was not the man I know, but who was the man I've known? Because everything was a lie. The only thing he cared about on the phone was getting the kids, which is perfectly okay. He should want to see his kids, but he refused to answer any question I had or admit to anything. I personally feel like his lack of remorse was because he was sitting in front of his mistress. If I confronted him at home, this would not have been his reaction. When he comes home Monday night, I expect to see a different man. Also, in my conversation with the mistress, I learned that she's recently separated. I called my mum, that was hard. While she and my dad have always been loving and supporting, it was hard to make that phone call. I felt like a failure. I know it wasn't my doing, but to admit that I made a poor choice in a spouse was difficult. Was this all because of a mistake I made 13 years ago? Honestly, it doesn't matter. I have 2 days to empty my house of his things. Who do I tell? Do I call his dad? Do I tell his mother, best friend, work buddies? I wish there was a manual on how to do this because I'm lost. Even with all my preparation, I'm still humiliated. Luckily, he did not take his house keys when he left, so no need to change the locks. I'll be removing his keys and sending him on his way. I don't plan on seeing him when he gets home Monday night. Doors are locked, everything you own is in the garage. Have your people talk to my people, and I'll see you never. Preparing for the return. My friends and family have been wonderful. I'm so fortunate to have such great people in my life. Yesterday they came to help me move all of his clothing to the garage. His collectibles were all packed up and sitting here waiting to be appraised. It took a very long time and I was exhausted afterwards, but it was necessary. I honestly don't think he expects me to have gone to such great lengths to remove him from my life, because I was so emotional when I confronted him. There's a chance that he thinks I'll still want to reconcile. Fat chance, buddy. His flight lands a little before 10 p.m. tonight. When he Ubers back home, the doors will be locked. He told me on the phone that he was just getting his car and leaving. I'll be holding him to that. Something that I should have mentioned earlier, the house is in my name only. He had no credit when we first started looking, so everything's in my maiden name and purchased by me. Health insurance, car insurance, cell phones, utilities are all in my name. The only thing in his name is his car. I think he realizes now that that could all come back to bite him. I don't want a messy divorce. I'm willing to listen to his demands and try and meet in the middle on as many things as possible. He obviously doesn't care anymore, so I'm going to do my best to not care and treat this like a business deal. The dust has settled. It's been a few days since his return. For a man who so diligently planned a secret retreat with his mistress, he took no time to plan his return home. He's been living in the basement since Monday. I allowed him to watch the children open gifts on Christmas, but he has since returned to the basement. We have contacted 3 mediators and have appointments next week to start the mediation process. It's obviously over. We had a conversation/argument upon his return, and he actually asked about reconciliation. I laughed uncontrollably. Of course, he pushed blame, stating that our marriage has been over for a long time. Well, that's news to me. His actions of an affair were selfish and avoidant. He didn't want to have that hard conversation with me about counselling or divorcing, and this route was easier and a lot more fun. Let's face it, he likes the attention of 2 women loving and pining over him. Well, I'm no longer playing that game. She wins. And oh, what a prize he is. I've been amicable about talking about the terms of our separation. My biggest hang-up is her. He may continue seeing her, and I have questions about her character. What kind of woman/mother cheats with a man that she knows is married and knows has children? When I confronted her on the phone last Saturday and asked her that question, she was silent. I asked if she was sorry, and it was as if the line went dead. That kind of person I do not want around my children. People who show no remorse, especially when they're in the wrong, are not kind people. I have found solace in friends and family, and thank you to everybody's recommendation of Chump Lady. I'm halfway through the book, I read through the website, and I find it so helpful. Thank you again to everyone. I can't believe the outpouring of support. To the trolls, I'm sorry that you think I'm an unfit and inattentive wife, but cheaters cheat because they want to. The people who are blaming OP for this are probably cheaters. And the fact that the husband tried to put blame onto OP for this. So gross. Thank you again to all. I'm not sure if you want a mediation update or if my story's over. Either way, I'm happy to have met you all. Where is the fault? If you listen to the books and advice always given about cheaters, it all says the same thing. It's not you. They made a choice. My soon-to-be ex insists things were bad. While I don't think we were Pam and Jim or Lucy and Ricky, I think things were good. This process has made me review who I am, who I've been, and who I want to be. Could I have made changes? Yeah. Was I perfect? Absolutely not. But my decisions and actions were never detrimental to our marriage. They were more like sacrifices. And now I'm having those sacrifices thrown at me. And I'm being called neglectful. Is all this about attention? A narcissistic need to be the apple of somebody's eye? Him and the affair partner are now blissfully in the honeymoon stage. Vacations, late night phone calls like teenagers, present buying. But what happens when the other shoe drops? What happens when she sees that he has very little patience with children? That he'll walk past a sink full of dishes completely blind to them? When he doesn't pay the phone bill for 2 months because he's spending money on silly gadgets? What then? While it's not my problem, I'm sure his affair partner will take issue with these things. Perhaps then she'll be put in the situation I've been in for a decade. Should she be the glue and hold it all together, or should she neglect responsibilities for his neediness? I've been told by him, somebody who's having a relationship and spending large sums of money on someone else, that I'm at fault. Yeah, cheaters always blame everybody else. Cheaters never take responsibility for their actions. It's as if they're not even capable of thinking they did something wrong. In their minds, they're always right, and everybody else is always wrong. Yeah, the mistress can have him. Perhaps, but what about the decades of cleaning up your messes? Maybe if I would have had 2-hour conversations with him every night, things would be different. But to be honest, I'm happy I'm here. Now reflecting back, I see how underappreciated I was, how neglected I was. All these years I thought I was helping, but I was really being taken advantage of. And this affair's no different. Just a word of advice to all of the mess cleaners and excuse makers and spouse sheltering people reading this. Stop. Stop now. I've learnt that all of the helping is simply them learning how to manipulate you. Draw that line in the sand. Prepare for an uncomfortable situation when they start to stumble under the pressure of real life. But don't lose yourself. I lost myself years ago, and it's not a place you want to be. Mediation and the move. We had our first mediation appointment via Zoom yesterday. It was very amicable, but only because I don't want to fight, and I just want this to be over. He apparently wants nothing. Not the house, not the furniture, not what he's entitled to of my pension. He just wants to be done as well. As I've been packing up things in the house to declutter, I've been offering him things, but he wants nothing. I suspect the moment that our marriage is dissolved, he'll be packing up his collectibles and clothing and driving across the country to live with her. I guess I should be okay with this, as I don't want to be married to him anymore. It just kills me that he'll be moving in with her and helping her raise her 2 children while mine are fatherless. It makes me so angry, seething. The man who was abandoned by his father is now doing the same. Something that he said would never ever happen because of the mental issues that it's given him today. Well, it looks like that, as well as mostly everything else, was a lie. Again, I take solace in the fact that their honeymoon phase will be short-lived. Reality will smack them both in the face, and she'll realise that he can be more hurt than help. While I wish him well and hope the best, our kids deserve more than a Christmas and Easter and 1 week in the summer father. No dad at basketball games, Cub Scouts, birthday parties and school plays. Meanwhile, the fair partner will have him and her children's biological father. I guess nothing in life is fair, and my boys will have to learn that earlier than I'd hoped. He's gone. My soon-to-be ex left yesterday morning to visit her. I told him to go. I didn't want to spend New Year's Eve with him, and our COVID circle friends who we celebrate with have zero interest in seeing him either. He booked a flight 30 minutes after I told him to go. My only stipulation was that he's back for this weekend, as it's my birthday and I really need a day to myself. I've watched the kids for 3 weekends now while he went to see his mistress. I thought I at least deserved my birthday to relax. He texted me while he was boarding that he won't be home for my birthday. Well then, he claims when he booked this, he booked a return for the evening of my birthday. When he tried to change it, it was put on standby. It would cost $1,000 to change. It was a red eye, etc. The excuses kept on coming. He apparently doesn't realise that I've got access to the internet as well, and flights are less than $300 with the airline that he flew. I told him this and he said those flights weren't there when he booked. Lies. And that he'll take care of it. I just want him to be honest. If you don't want to be here for my birthday, just say it. If you don't want to spend the day with your children, just tell me. I can't force you to be a parent. I told him the flights were available and affordable. It's his choice to rebook. The ball's in your court. That's all I can do, right? Stay tuned for an update on his return this weekend. New Year's Eve nightmare. It was 12:40 a.m. on New Year's Eve and there was still no call from him. I was angry for no other reason than I explained to the kids that even though Daddy wasn't with us, he would call at midnight to talk to them and wish them a happy new year. I was made to be a liar. So I text my soon-to-be ex and his excuse was, they're with their friends. I didn't want to bother them. Excuse me? Bother them? You mean you didn't want your kids to bother you is what you're really saying. If I was across the country on New Year's Eve without my kids, I would have called and done the countdown with them via FaceTime. I think most parents would, but not him. He said if you would have told me that you told the kids I'd called, then I would have. He tried to spin this on me, that I created this mess. Why do I have to tell you that you need to call your children at midnight? This small act said a lot to me. Our children are not a priority. I guess he didn't want to ruin his perfect vacation at his new girlfriend's house with her children. He has a nice new family now. Today's my birthday and he returns this evening. I told him in my New Year's Eve text that I'll speak to him on the 12th, our next mediation meeting, because I'm done. I tried to be civil for the kids, but he's not putting forth the effort for them. Liar, liar, pants on fire. The past few days have been strange. We rarely talk, a decision on both our parts, and when we do it's about mediation, plans moving forward, or the kids. We have been civil and communicating well about those items. We're also friendly in front of the children as not to upset them. The situation is strange because we're getting along, there's no arguing. It's a shared focus to just get through mediation and divorce. That's fine by me. Last night while I was cleaning the kitchen, I heard him on the phone in the basement. I guess he didn't realise the door was left open by one of the children. Not wanting to be a part of the drama anymore, I went to close the door. At that point, I heard him tell her how crazy I've been acting. Excuse me? We don't speak, and when we do, it's very civil. How is that crazy? Well, he proceeded to tell her about a conversation that we had, and he lied about everything. While the conversation part was true, he told her that I exploded, that I was in a rage and I was crying, etc., and none of that was true. He explained how he laughed in my face at my rage. Also not true because there was no rage. I told him a while back before the New Year's Eve debacle that I'd start dating eventually, and he proceeded to tell her that I was bragging about guys I'm meeting. So far from the truth, I slammed the basement door. I'm sure he knows I heard, so I asked why the need to lie and make me a villain. We aren't staying together. I've got no reason to fight with you anymore. That's why we're paying a mediator. Why start lying to your new girlfriend that you love? How is that a good way to start a relationship? I don't know what's happening here. This is my concern. This woman and him are in love and they want to start a life together. Okay, that's fine. God bless and congrats. But this woman only knows me by the stories, which I'm assuming are all lies that he's told her about me. If he does move across the country to be with her, how can I trust a woman who hates me because of misinformation to treat my children properly? I don't care if she hates me personally, I'll still sleep fine at night, but now I'm worried about sending my kids in the summer to stay with them. I want to confront him about this, but I can't. Maybe it's not that I can't, but I don't know how. Also, he's told no one that we're separated and definitely has not told people why. How come? You initiated this, you cheated, you're happy now, so why can't you tell people? He told his father that he was bringing the kids alone to visit him because he and I weren't seeing eye to eye at the moment. Oh, the audacity. Tell everyone that he cheated, OP. What? I would assume that he's afraid to face the music or is just finding comfort in the little love bubble that he has created. He chooses to not face reality. He has yet to look for an apartment for when the divorce is finalised, but has booked another flight out to see her for Valentine's Day. He's refusing to face reality and it's so frustrating. Mediation and empty promises. Yesterday was our second mediation appointment. While it was amicable, there was some obvious tension. The tension was not on my end, but more on his. Let me explain. During our first mediation, we brought up the topic that he might move out of state. At yesterday's meeting, I asked what we would do about custody if he moves to this particular state. When I mentioned the state by name, the mediator was confused. This prompted her to ask him why this state that's so far away. His answer? Well, then silence. He couldn't put into words the fact that he was leaving to be with his girlfriend. I had to finally chime in, realizing that we were paying by the hour, that he was moving to be with his girlfriend. I realized later that was the first time he had to semi-confess to having an affair and a girlfriend to anyone. If you love this person so much, why can't you just say it out loud? That whole situation confuses me. Anyway, when it comes to dollars and cents, I'll be fine. He'll also be fine. He'll have enough to do what he needs and so will I. We have agreed to a physical custody scenario that allows him weekend and dinner visits. Fine by me, I want my boys to have their father. But the situation becomes a bit more difficult when he moves. While he said yesterday that he plans to stay here at least a year, I doubt that'll actually happen. When he does move across the country, he wishes to return for one weekend of every month to see the boys. Again, I'm fine with this scenario, but where will he stay that weekend? He has no family. Will he just be taking the boys to a hotel? Again, I don't think he actually thought this through. This is a problem that I or we will tackle when he does decide to move. Lastly, the mediator said that it could take about 2 months to finalise everything. He and I spoke after the session to go over some facts and figures, and I brought up the tentative finalisation date of our marriage. I told him how 2 months is a good amount of time to save money and find an apartment, to which he agreed. I also reminded him about his promise to not return to visit her until our divorce is finalised, or he has a place to live. He quickly became frustrated, telling me that he knew and tried to shut down the conversation. I told him I'm happy that we're on the same page, but I'm not budging. If you leave while you still live here, you cannot come back. That's something that we both agreed to. Now the big question remains. Who does he break a promise with? Obviously, it's a win-win for me. Stay home and help me with the kids while you save $500 plus and move out quickly, or leave to visit her and I get you out of the house sooner. I'm happy with either decision. I just want to move on with my life and enjoy my moments with my children. Out for a swim. When I took this dive into the Reddit community, I had no idea where I'd land. I thought that my feet would hit shallow ground and I'd be ankle deep on the banks in an uncomfortable swimsuit all alone. But to my surprise, the deep ocean of Reddit readers have engulfed me into their warm waters and I'm surrounded by a sea of support. For this, I'm thankful. I'm also so touched by the droves of people who've reached out for advice or offered their own experiences as lessons to be learned. To the ones seeking advice, I tell them I'm not an expert swimmer. I'm merely doggy paddling through this sea of hurt and confusion. Please don't use me as a sign of strength, because the truth is I'm not strong. I'm you. I'm the woman who reads because they're suspicious of late night phone calls her husband takes. I'm the spouse who has shouldered the entire family and is in desperate need of support. I'm the woman who misses affection from her husband who's next to her in bed every night. I am you. To those people who've yet to catch their partner cheating but are suspicious, trust your gut. Cheating is a coward's choice, so be braver than them and face the truth. To the spouse who is the fixer and takes on every challenge, take a step back. When you help, even with good intention, you're actually just hurting yourself. To the spouse who's tried everything to receive physical attention from their partner but to no avail, their affection is probably going somewhere else. These are lessons I wish I could have told myself months, if not years ago. Listen to me or just listen to you. To the sharks in the water who call me a bad mum or a crazy bitch or fake or even just think I'm out of my mind, you'll find no blood in this water, so it's best you move on and find a thread where the OP will chum the water for you. It's so very easy to read and judge this, I understand. I just hope that if this ever happens to you, that you'll be as brave and logical and composed as you expect others to be. If not, you'll find sharks circling you as well. So I hope you're as strong of a swimmer as you claim to be. If you're still reading this, my saga and survival continues. Our final mediation papers will arrive this week. We were able to settle everything at the last meeting on the 12th of January, and the documents just need our signature. After that, the divorce papers need to be served and filed with the county. Then we await our court date, which will be done via Zoom. Yeah, a bit anticlimactic, but it'll still serve its purpose of divorcing. He has started, finally, to look for an apartment, but nothing is to his satisfaction. Maybe he's being picky, or maybe he's comfortable living in the basement. Either way, once the divorce papers are stamped, he needs to be gone. He has started making phone calls to her during the day, and I can hear him giggling downstairs. I'm happy he's happy, I really am. That isn't passive-aggressive, I know I'll be happy one day too. He just got there first and that's okay. I feel like my life's in limbo right now. I can't move forward because I'm chained to the past. I'm hoping his move will be soon. I suspect that he wants out for February 1st so that he can go and visit her for Valentine's Day. I hope for his sake and mine that he makes his deadline. I'll update again after I receive the mediation paperwork and divorce papers are served. I'm sure that'll stir up a lot of thought and emotion, so I'm certain it'll be a doozy. Till then, I'll keep doggy paddling. Souvenirs. If you've been following along, then you know that there was a chance he'd leave for Valentine's Day to go visit her. Well, he left this morning. He told the kids, "I'm going," as he walked out the door, leaving me to explain a few hours later that he had to leave to work when they started asking for him. I've learnt that I can't have expectations. Just because I'd try to be more honest with the kids doesn't mean that he would. I was really proud of the fact that I didn't even engage him in the discussion, debate or argument of going. Yeah, I had loudly vocalised some feelings a week ago when he told me that he was going, but I have not engaged him about it since. All I asked was for his flight info so that I'd know when to expect him back. He did not provide this information. Maybe he thinks I'm not entitled to it. Either way, he left and I was fine. While we had the conversation multiple times in which he agreed that he would not visit her again until he had an apartment, he has reneged on that agreement. Shocker. He claims that he has every right to be here, which he does legally, and he can do as he pleases. He put a down payment on an apartment a few days ago, but says that he doesn't know when he's moving. What? The bills he pays in the house are less than the child support he'll have to pay. So I think his decision to stay longer might be a financial one. I've offered him any piece of furniture he wants in the house. I even offered to pay for half of the cost of bunk beds for the boys. I just need him to leave. I have no idea why he's dragging his feet, but I learnt through a mutual friend and a former work colleague of theirs that she recently had COVID. When I say recently, I mean the Board of Health from her state said that she could stop quarantining 3 days ago. But what about her kids that are in the home? Were they living there during her quarantine? Are they positive? Perhaps they're asymptomatic? Will my soon-to-be ex be bringing me and our children home a COVID souvenir? I'm livid. COVID insensitivity. For all of those messaging me with concern and for updates, I apologise for my tardiness. It's been a heartbreaking 2 weeks. To amend for my absence, I'll be posting 2 updates tonight. Let me start from the beginning. My soon-to-be ex left for his getaway on the 12th of the 2nd and did not return until the 15th of the 2nd. During his blissful vacation, my family and I suffered a great loss of one of our most beloved members to COVID. I was a mess. Everybody I love was devastated. I called my soon-to-be ex on the 13th and told him the prognosis was not good. It was loud where he was. There were children yelling. He informed me that he was outside with her kids. Wow, can't remember the last time we took our children outside, but I digress. I shouldn't have expected him to care about my bad news, but he was concerned. I guess there is still a decent bone somewhere in him. That concern would not last long though. Upon his return, as he usually does, he schedules a COVID test. He scheduled one for 4 days after his return, but due to snow in our area, he did not go. This I understand, the weather cannot be controlled. Then he told me that he rescheduled for 4 days later, and then does not go. When I questioned him, his response was, "I feel fine." I suspected since she probably got a negative COVID test shortly before his arrival, he felt safe in not getting one. Not until Monday the 1st of the 3rd did he finally get tested, a full 2 weeks later. Why? You know that my family just suffered a terrible loss to COVID. How could you be so reckless and insensitive? The insensitive question is rhetorical. I obviously know the answer already. The real monster. The day's approaching. Large boxes are being delivered to the house daily containing new furniture to be assembled. The sounds of packing tape being ripped from the spool flood the house every morning. He's moving out. I'm overjoyed. I'm so happy that I've actually started engaging him in conversation. Yeah, we have to chat to figure out child support and scheduling, but now I'm so ecstatic that he's leaving, I even ask about his move. I feel like a kid at Christmas. While we were discussing his move, what he would be taking from the home and the schedule for seeing the children, I asked if he planned to visit her. No, this wasn't me prying. We need to set an overnight and weekend schedule for the kids, and I was hoping to be accommodating to any trips he'd planned. But then my curiosity got the best of me, but for a good reason. Our children. I asked if she plans to come here to meet the kids. He replied in the affirmative and said that she may come. Well, good for you both, but I'd like to meet her before she meets the children. He went silent. I could tell that he was rolling thoughts around in his head or perhaps trying to figure a way out of this situation, but he came up empty. He honestly wanted to know why I needed to meet her. Excuse me? Come again? You really think I'd let my children spend time with somebody I didn't know? I'm the mother that interviews babysitters. Why would you think I wouldn't want to meet her? He claims to be worried that I won't be civil, but he knows me better than that. I have nothing to gain being rude to her. It's just ammo. I refuse to play that game. And plus, why would I care? I don't want him. That's your prize now, honey. Congrats. But he recognises that he can't stop me in this. I've got every right to meet her as he would to meet someone I'm dating. When it comes to the kids, he and we can't keep secrets. I think the real concern about us meeting is this. She'll realise that I'm not the horrible monster he made me out to be. His plans of assassinating my character to build himself up or to receive pity from her and the constant gaslighting will all be revealed. She'll see that I'm not pining over him. I'm not quarrelling with him and that I'm genuinely a good person. Maybe she'll see that he might be the real monster. Like father, like son. My soon-to-be ex was quiet, more quiet than usual, almost sulking. I don't understand his motivations anymore and what he actually cares about, so I left it alone. Not my business to care and comfort anymore, right? That evening after the children went to bed, he sat alone at the dining room table. It was as if he was waiting for me to address him. I did not. Sulk, that's your issue, not mine. After he received no attention from me, he made the big announcement. He claims he told everybody what happened between us, including his father. Then, oddly enough, he started to cry. Full ugly tears. I thought these were tears of embarrassment and shame. He then proceeded to tell me the conversation he had with his father was the first time that his dad's actually acted like a father towards him. While that statement in itself is unsettling, it's also confusing. I'm guessing that his father supported him. I know if this was my son that I'd support him, but also have some strong words about how we went about this and how we should probably proceed in the future. But it looks like he received 100% support. So while I understand, I don't understand. Something was wrong here. Yeah, so his dad's a cheater too. Last week was my younger son's birthday. I had asked my soon-to-be ex if he'd like to invite his father over for cake. He texted him several times with no response. He learned through their conversation and confession last night that his father was in another state for work. Okay, understandable, but here's the kicker. He went away with the new girl that he's dating. Why is this strange, you ask? He just asked his wife of 30 years for a divorce at the end of January. Yeah, he is a cheater. So this makes me think, is adultery a learned behaviour? My father-in-law abandoned my soon-to-be ex when he was 9 years old, the same age as my elder son now. Is there a pattern here, or is this all just a crazy coincidence? I could not help myself. I messaged my mother-in-law. She confirmed that they were divorcing. I asked if there was any infidelity, and she claims to her knowledge no. But I know better. She said that my father-in-law started to withdraw from her. He started picking fights for no reason and avoiding interacting with her last fall. Then in January, he said he wanted a divorce so that he could find himself. A man who's in his 60s, close to retirement, needs to find himself? Sounds like a cop-out to me. But now that I've learnt that there is another woman, which my mother-in-law does not know, I understand that this bloodline of men are truly selfish and unfit partners. I know all the comments will tell me to tell my mother-in-law about the infidelity on his part, and I plan on doing so. I just need a little bit more information before I break the news to her. Yeah, so he's a garbage partner, and so's his dad. Moving trucks and spilled tea. It happened. Finally, he's gone. My basement's so empty and quiet it echoes. The day he moved, a box truck pulled up to my house and my children ran to the window to watch. I didn't know how to distract them as I was working. I was able to pull them away from the window with the promise of treats once they were at the table to do schoolwork. My youngest, though, would not budge. After 45 minutes of loading, the truck pulled away and my soon-to-be ex drove off. My youngest came away from the window looking sad. I immediately talked to him and tried to comfort him. After a few moments, he asked, "Is the truck coming back?" I was confused. I told him that we were staying here and no one else was moving. Apparently, he wasn't upset that Daddy was leaving. He just wanted the truck. I'm not sure how I should feel about this. I made appointments with a child therapist for both of my kids. While they seem fine now, I'm not sure what the future holds for their mental state. I'm afraid this will be repressed and issues will arise down the road. His friends have been reaching out to me. Now that they know what happened, I'm getting text and Facebook messages asking how I am. I know in reality that they're just being nosy. They may care a little, but they just want me to spill the tea. Well, I put the kettle on. I wasn't surprised to learn that my soon-to-be ex wasn't completely honest with them. He failed to mention traveling during a pandemic to visit her. I guess that'd make him look reckless or selfish or idiotic. The wives of his friends are in shock. They considered my soon-to-be ex a friend that could be trusted. A man who had it all together. Basically, they trusted my soon-to-be ex would be a good influence on their husbands. Boy, were they wrong. Concerning my mother-in-law, I have not told her. This is because I don't have any real information. What I did tell her though was to do some investigating to see if he is having an affair. This would be to her benefit as her state has adultery laws. They are still legally married and living in the same house, so to my knowledge the law applies. But she seems hesitant. I think she's just afraid to find out the truth, and then she has to look at him every day. This I understand. No person's spouse should have to experience that. I know it was gut-wrenching for me, and perhaps many of you reading can relate as well. I just don't want to be the one to tell her. Perhaps this is because I'm still upset I had to find out on my own, and my soon-to-be ex was too much of a coward to come clean. Why should a cheating spouse get the thrill of cheating and be relieved of the burden of having to confess? I really like the way that OP writes. This is really easy to read, it just flows out. And yeah, he's a garbage cheater, and so's his dad. That's so sad. Thread number 2. Hello Reddit, if you're just catching my story at thread number 2, then I suggest you backtrack to my original post because oh man, it's a doozy. Once you've read it, I think you'll understand what thousands of readers have already come to know. My soon-to-be ex is garbage. Final fight and insight. Before the move, my soon-to-be ex and I had one last argument, but in this argument, a big piece of information was leaked on his behalf. He demanded to know why we failed as partners. I'm not sure why he's asking me why we failed if he's the one that cheated. I gave him the same reasoning I gave him months ago when we talked about this. He said that answer was bullshit. How can my opinion or insight be bullshit? How did we fail as partners? You cheated, that's how. How can my opinion or insight be bullshit? Let me explain. My soon-to-be ex and I were great before kids and responsibilities, but when other people, our children and responsibilities, work and bills and house upkeep came into play, things changed. Honestly, he didn't like that our honeymoon phase was over. That's what he loves the most and why his shiny new relationship is so appealing. He didn't like that our money for nights out now went to plumbers or school clothes and the gas bill. Was this another case of being a narcissist and needing all the attention? Perhaps so. Could I have done better to make him a priority? Probably, but then something else of importance would have been neglected. Perhaps if he would have helped me carry the load and took more responsibility, there'd be more time for us. I was the parent that went to every school function. I took the kids food shopping with me on Saturday so that he could have some time to relax. I made all the meals. I did the doctor's appointments. I called the repairmen. I bought the clothing. I cut coupons. I tended to sick children. I gave baths. I made plans to visit his family. Long story short, the list of responsibilities he had was minimal or close to non-existent. I just always thought that we would, more like I would, sacrifice and work now only to relax and enjoy later. Maybe that was my mistake, but I showed my love for him daily, and I always did for him. I did more so that he could do less and enjoy his free time and be happy and relaxed, because when he was stressed, the whole house was tense. But that's a story for another day. What this conversation did shed light on was his reasoning for talking to her. The reason I suspected: attention. He confessed that she gave him attention whenever he wanted it. Everything was about him. Sure, that's easy to do when your relationship is simply text messages and phone calls, but what happens when it's real and daily? I asked him what happens when he moves there and she starts putting her children first, or her work becomes a priority, or they struggle with bills, real life and all. He had no answers. I asked what happens when this fantasy long-distance romance becomes a tough daily reality. Again, I don't think he thought that far in advance. Can he stay on his best boyfriend behavior? Can everything stay magical when the world stops revolving around him and them? Looks like he'll find out soon enough. I understand that I'll probably receive criticism for this post. People will say that I neglected him, so he had no other option but to leave. But let's not overlook the fact that he neglected everything in our life, so the slack was mine. This story's not you. Some spouses have been doing this for ages. And what's their reward? The spouse they tried so desperately to give a better life to leaves or cheats. Is this manipulation? Is this me trying so hard to make everything easier for everybody else that I sabotage myself? All I wanted was an equal partner, but that's something that I never got. Mediation meltdown. So after weeks, no correction, months, our mediation paperwork is completed. What a relief, or so I thought. While we had talked previously and agreed to everything, there was one section that we never mentioned, which our mediator added. It reads as follows: new partners. Each part agrees that they will introduce a new partner to the children only if he or she is in a committed relationship for at least so and so months. Each parent will inform the other party prior to introducing a new partner to the children. While that wasn't something that was discussed, I think that's an important piece of the puzzle. My soon-to-be ex does not think that that statement needs to be included in our legal agreement. His statement was that's a conversation between you and I that a court or judge has no business being in. While I do see his point, my point was this: we are divorcing. Nothing can be left to a handshake promise. We could agree to something verbally, and because we both have legal custody, we could renege on the agreement and then deny access to new partners. Having this in black and white protects us both. He swore that he wasn't signing it until that portion was removed. But if the mediator included it, then this must be common practice to do in a divorce. So this prompted me to ask, when does she plan to come here to visit? That must be the motivation, right? She must be planning a trip here soon, and he had plans to introduce her to the kids. He claims there are no plans for her to visit our area. Well, if that's the case, what's the harm with waiting 3 months? But let me be clear to everybody reading. My motivation in this is the well-being of my children. Their father has just left. They need to become accustomed with this new way of life with 2 homes and visiting hours before we complicate things more with a girlfriend or boyfriend. I've also made appointments for them next month. That was the soonest I could get with a psychologist to help them process this divorce. Now is not the time to make this more complex. Every parent wants to nurture and protect their children. His affair partner waited 5 months to introduce him to her children. Why is it not okay for us to wait too then? Changes. I had to sit down this past week and really think, what's more important to me, my pride or moving on? I said from the beginning that I want him to be a father, to be involved and active in their lives, so we made some changes last night. After a talk plus an argument followed by more talking, we altered our custody agreement to give him more time with the kids. I know from the past 10 years that he's never been an active father. Perhaps now he feels the need to be. Either way, I'm hopeful this decision will be a good one for the boys. Now, I know many of you may say that he's undeserving, but I'm making this decision and not regretting it because I know it's temporary. He will be moving in a year or so. Of this I have no doubt. Once he packs up his belongings and he drives across the country, our arrangement will change. I'm a bit upset the children will become used to having him around only to have him leave in a year. That was a big motivator to my reluctance to agree to this custody change. I have tried to make the best decisions for my boys, and I I feel like my soon-to-be ex is just concerned with winning. I also got him to agree to put our new terms and terms for when he leaves, including the altered child support payments in black and white in our mediation paperwork. I think the delay by our mediator to supply the paperwork led to him overthinking and wanting to change the agreement. He agreed in January, but now claims that he never agreed to it. So I guess our mediator just created these terms, which we discussed out of thin air. Okay, sure, buddy. I also think his girlfriend chirped in his ear a bit about what he should do. I'm confident that he told her what a wonderful and involved father he's been over the years, and I'm sure that prompted her to encourage him for more custody. Little does she know, my soon-to-be ex doesn't even have car seats in his car because he never even takes them anywhere. He doesn't even know their doctors' names. He doesn't know their quirks, and he has zero patience for them. But I'm sure he's claimed to be Father of the Year. Maybe the increase in custody will prompt him to move sooner. He took the boys for an overnight last week, and when he dropped them off, he was grumpy. He claimed all he did was cater to them, didn't have time to eat, and barely got any work done all day. Oh, you mean like me every day since you left? He's not prepared. But it's okay, I'm done sheltering him. These are your kids, and now you can see what it takes to care for them and balance your everyday life. Maybe now he'll see why I never had time or energy to cater to him. Boundaries. Last week was our final mediation meeting. My soon-to-be ex claims that the mediation we had in January was not the final. I was happy that our mediator confirmed in the meeting that January's meeting was the final, and his changes are an addition. Either way, it's done. Mediation completed. Now starts the actual divorce process. I told him I'd like to start this ASAP, and his response was, I know you want to rush through this, but this takes time and can't be done when you want it to be done. So hold on, let me get this straight. You are the one who cheated for months and has a girlfriend, but me wanting to complete our divorce paperwork makes me the one that's rushing the end of the marriage? No, sir, you have rushed to end it. Actually, you ended it. Now we're just completing the paperwork, but the marriage was dissolved in September when you started sending her flowers. Or perhaps in October when you started flying to her state during a pandemic to have sex. So pardon me if I'd like to cut the cord legally. You've already severed it emotionally. Yeah, narcissists are the worst. Like the most insufferable people in existence. He 100% thinks that he's done nothing wrong. So ick. Even though we aren't legally divorced, he's been taking the kids 3 to 4 nights a week on a rotating schedule. Truth be told, I'm happy that he's stepping up, but my children don't like it. When I tell them they're going to daddy's, they cry. Because my ex lives in an apartment building, and my children have grown up in a single family home. My older son calls his apartment a hotel, not a house. When they're there, they miss me and I feel terrible. On one of their first evenings there, my youngest called me from his iPad 4 times. I wanted to give them space to be with their dad, but after the 5th phone call, I answered. My soon-to-be ex was on the computer working, he showed me on the video call, and my youngest was left in his room to play. He was bored and seeking attention. I told him to play with daddy when he was done with his call and I'd see him soon. After we hung up, I got an angry text from my ex telling me that we need to practice boundaries when we have the children and respect each other's time with them. The children were now asking him when they come home. He said to me, this is their home as well and they should know that. A few things about this. Number one, if you were paying attention to the kids, they would not call me. I understand that you're working, but I work from home as well. And they're never calling you while I'm here. I have to tell the kids to call you and even they don't want to. And 2, boundaries. You've been coming to the house every night on my days to say goodnight to them. So you can come to my home and see them for 45 minutes every night, but I can't answer my son's 5th phone call to me? Here's some boundaries. You can't come here anymore. He's very regretful that he brought up this argument because it hurts him more than me. I have no problems playing fair, but you have to play as well. Number 3, if you want your kids to feel like your house is their home as well, then you need to tell them, not me. Okay, I get it, but they don't. So you need to have that conversation with them, not me. I've just resolved myself to the fact that I'll always be the bad guy. And once again, I need to let me from the future take over because I don't have any more recording time today. This one is gonna be a massive episode. The gymnast. I've always been flexible. Well, physically not so much with age, but flexible in situations has never been a problem. My soon-to-be ex brought me on a 50-50 custody agreement, one in which I agreed to. Our original agreement was for a 65-35 split, which gave him every other weekend plus a few dinner time visits in between. For somebody who's never been an active father, this should have been enough. Apparently now he thinks he's super dad and wishes to take the lead. This would have been helpful years ago, but better late than never. He contacts me the other day telling me that he'll be picking up the kids for 2 overnights this week. Mind you, he's supposed to have the kids 2 days on one week and then 5 days the next. I tell him that he can have the kids over the weekend as well. This is when he tells me that he has several work trips and a personal trip to see his girlfriend coming up, so he needs me to be flexible with the visits. Flexible? I thought you were the I need to see my kids more dad now. The dad who needed more time and less time and child support for me with his children. Where did that guy go? The month of April, he's had the kids for 8 nights total. And when I mention this isn't 50-50, I'm the bad guy and I need to be understanding to his work and personal life. Excuse me, I have work and a personal life too. Well, not really a personal life, but I hope to soon. Why do I have to be so flexible to you and you aren't to me? I told him I offered him the 65-35 split that would allow him more free time for work and pleasure, and he didn't want it. He said I was steamrolling him into taking that agreement, and he wasn't happy with the time he'd have with the kids. Touched that he wanted more time with the kids, I agreed to this, and now that it's in black and white, I have to have the kids more and receive less child support because you can't keep up with the deal that you wanted. I think in all honesty, it wasn't about seeing the kids. It was about not giving me what I asked for. He says I rely too much on our agreement and that it's just a guideline. We don't need to live and die by it. But I think we do. It's a legal document about our children and our assets. So if we don't live and die by it, will you just stop paying child support? Or maybe decide that you want things that are mine? It's just a piece of paper, right? For a man who led a double life, had an affair, has a girlfriend and wanted out of this house, he sure doesn't seem to want to face the reality of what a divorce actually is. So if he doesn't take the kids for his 50-50 visits, what are my options? Start the process again with another agreement? Take him to court? I think perhaps my best option is to not be flexible, and when the numbers don't add up, we go back to court. I don't see any other option. Transparency. This past weekend was Mother's Day. It was a strange day this year, but still oddly more enjoyable than previous years. My soon-to-be ex has been taking the kids on the schedule that I created, and so far, no issues. He has yet to pay me any child support, but I will give him till the 15th until I make a stink about it. The boys were with him over the weekend, but he returned them on Sunday so I could spend the day with them. I asked him while he was here if he called his grandmother yet. His grandmother's the only family besides his equally unfaithful father that he speaks to. He told me that we spoke to her and he told her that we're separated. I was shocked. This was a big one. I knew it would be hard to tell her and the news would give her a heart attack. He said that she was upset and shared some of their conversation with me. He told me that he did not tell her why we split, only that we had. While not the whole truth, I was happy to see that he took this tough step. Fast forward a few hours later and his mother calls me. Her and I have a fairly good relationship, but my soon-to-be ex is holding a grudge over things from the past and refuses to speak to her. I had asked if she heard the news from her mother. She was confused. Well, it turns out it was all a lie. Yeah, that makes more sense. He never told his grandmother. The conversation that he said that he had was never actually had. I speak to his sister as well, and I find out after 13 years together that this runaway with a girl who'll give me more attention is his MO. She told me that before he lied to his girlfriend of 4 years that he was going to spend time with his dad, and it turns out that he went away for the weekend with another girl. Now ain't that some shit? He is so awful. My lawyer will be serving him the divorce papers next week. When I told him for the second time that I was hiring a lawyer to do the papers and did not want us to do them ourselves, he got angry. He accused me of wanting to try something shady. No, sir, you've been shady enough for the both of us. Yeah. When I reminded him that I've already brought this up to him and that I've been getting quotes from lawyers, he accused me of not being transparent. You're kidding, right? He will always be the victim, never wrong and always right. The audacity of him to tell OP that OP's not being transparent. The breakdown. My soon-to-be ex had the children this past Friday, Saturday, and then again Monday to Wednesday. I went to pick them up today after work and that's when it happened. The breakdown. My soon-to-be ex started to cry. He lost it. Apparently for the past 3 days, all of our children did was ask to go home. They cried and they constantly asked how long. He tried to tell them that this was their home as well, but they wouldn't hear of it. Now part of me does feel bad. It must be terrible to have your children reject you. But on the flip side, he's never been the parent he is now. He takes them places, plays with them, reads to them, bathes them. I don't think he understands that you can't just flip a switch with these kids and they'll gravitate towards you. I know that he's trying and I appreciate it, but it's too little too late. I've tried to be supportive and I understand that them having a father's important, but I honestly don't think they want him. Again, they're both under 10, they're young, they don't fully understand. My oldest asked me on the ride home if they could never go back. When I explained that we're both parents and love them and want to spend equal time with them, they both protested. I think my soon-to-be ex realizes this is too little too late. He's regretful. I don't know how to make this situation easier for everyone, but honestly it's not my problem to solve. I asked him to take a 35-65 split, but he rejected it, saying that it wasn't enough time with the children. My suggestion of that split wasn't about me wanting more. It was about what I thought our children could handle. He just wanted to win and get me to convert to a 50-50 split. Welp, you won, here it is. How's that working out for you? Maybe if you would have thought about what was best for them and not defeating me, maybe this would have ended differently. A summer situation. After his breakdown, I didn't contact him for a while. I knew that he needed time to cool off, and if I talked to him for any reason, I was afraid that he'd get angry with me or even worse, confide in me. I wanted neither. So when I finally did need to speak to him, he told me, "We need to figure out what we're doing this summer." What are we doing? We're doing nothing. I was confused. He told me that it's going to be impossible for him to handle the kids during the summer while he's working. He said that he was barely holding on by a thread as it is now. This isn't a problem that we faced in the past, as I'm a teacher and I'm off all summer, so I can handle the kids 100% during summer months. I don't think he took the summer into consideration when he demanded 50-50 physical custody. So his suggestion was to enroll the children in a camp when he has them. So you want to enroll our children in a camp from 8 to 6 on the days you have them? How's that spending time with them? So my suggestion was, let's do the 35-65 split for July and August, and he can have the kids weekends and see them in the evenings whenever he wants. He was furious. "It's always about custody with you," he said. Wait, this isn't about custody. You just said that you can't handle them. I'm offering to give up the first real summer vacation I've ever had to keep them to help you, and I'm the bad guy here? Make this make sense. He claims the kids need to socialise, and in the past 9 years he has never cared if the children socialised, but now it's a big deal? This was the man who rolled his eyes and complained about having to go to a kid's birthday party for 3 hours. So I left it alone. A few days later, to be proactive, I sent him information about summer camps, along with price lists. It would cost between $250 and $350 a week for a camp. The camps I found are only for 5 weeks, leaving most of August without childcare for him. How does this help? How is this spending time with the kids? Putting our children in an expensive weekly camp during COVID, just so you can give them dinner, bath, and put them to bed, doesn't help them or your relationship with them. My family owns a house by the beach. I'll be down there most of the summer with the kids. When I'm home, we have friends we can visit, and at least we have a yard at our house for the children to play in. The children will be happy and socialise with family and friends, and most importantly, be safer with me than in a camp. Lastly, I will add that he has yet to pay me child support for April and May. He moved out in March, took the kids for 8 overnights in April, it should have been 15, and has yet to give me a dime for April and May, but he can afford almost $1,300 in camp fees just to have his custody. Even more proof that his actions are not about what's best for the kids. It's just a competition with me. Again, make this make sense. Get the papers. I'm officially in the court system with a docket number and everything. It's on its way to becoming official, and I'm elated. My soon-to-be ex does not seem that excited. This past weekend he flew out to her state and attended a family wedding as her guest. I'm happy they're taking their steps as a couple, because if they are happy, he will move, and the further away he is, the better. When he returned, he was now excited about the divorce, asking me when the lawyer would send him paperwork to sign and what the timeline was moving forward. He was on cloud 9 after his vacation and wished to hurry the process up. The day that he was having his share of paperwork notarized was also the day that I was going to pick up the children from him. When I got there, he was short with me. I could tell he was on the verge of a panic attack. He hurried us away and then texted me later explaining that he in fact was in the beginning stages of a panic attack. But why? He told me that he was feeling overwhelmed. Between the kids and work and managing a household and maintaining a social life, he felt burnt out. Wow, this sounds oddly familiar. This was my story for the past 10 years. The reason I didn't go on date nights as often as he liked was for this exact reason. Part of me felt bad because I know what the feeling's like, but another part of me relished the thought of his struggling and coming to the realization that that was my life and reason for his cheating. So how should I react? After I took a second to think, I blurted, "Wow, that sucks. I'm taking the kids to the beach this weekend. See you Monday morning when you pick them up." I decided to give him the support that he gave me for 10 years. If anybody knows what movie this post title is from, then you know, you gotta do what your heart tells you to do. D-Day. Sunday it's happening. The day that I've been waiting for and he's been dreading. I'm gonna meet the girlfriend. I'm honestly excited. He on the other hand is in a panic, and I understand why. I exploded on that woman on the phone and said some terrible things, and I also understand it's going to be hard for him to hide his lies about me being insane when we're face to face. He texted me a few days ago and told me that he'd be picking the boys up on Father's Day to head down to the shore with them, and that she would be accompanying them. When they come to pick up the boys, we can have a chat. I'm fine with that. I'm actually relieved he wasn't planning on taking the boys to the shore alone. I don't think he can handle them both on the boardwalk or in arcades. He's very worried that I'll cause a scene when I meet her. It's actually the exact opposite. I plan on being myself, very friendly and welcoming. I need her to see that I'm not that emotional woman that I was on the phone and in my letter. I mentioned to him via text that I would not jeopardize the good relationship that he and I have had recently, and our co-parenting by being mean to her. His exact words, I don't need you to speak about what you and I have. But why? Why wouldn't the fact that we're getting alone and co-parenting be something she shouldn't know? And then I remembered, he lies. He must be telling her that I'm impossible, that I'm a terrible human being, that I'm difficult and unreasonable. How can he make this lie hold water if I'm polite and friendly to her and him? The boys have each made something for him and I got a small gift from the boys to give to him. We will present him with those things in front of her. I feel like if I saw somebody who was supposed to be cruel and insane do that to their enemy, I would have questions as well. Also, I plan on packing snacks for the boys and him for the trip. That's something that I do whether she was there or not. Are those the acts of a crazy and hateful person? I think not. Lastly, and some of you may not agree with this, I'm gonna apologize for how I spoke to her. I know that she was wrong for what she did, and if she ever wants to apologize, I'd listen. But I'm not proud of how I spoke to her on the phone. That was the worst side of me. I think she understands my actions, but my apology is not to get on her good side. I want to be the bigger person. I don't plan on ever being friends with this woman, but she will be left alone with my children at some point, so I'm doing this for them. And also my selfish motive. If she's happy and feels comfortable with my soon-to-be ex, she'll want him to move out of state with her. I want this, so I don't want to do anything to jeopardize this move. I will update you all on Sunday evening with a play-by-play of our meet. My strange meet cute. Since my last post, my head's been swimming. I spent so many months envisioning this moment and now it's here and all the scenarios I've run in my head seem like cheesy movie scenes. None of it's plausible. I finally decided yesterday to not go into this meetup trying to prove who I am to somebody, but more so just be myself and stop worrying about the impression that I leave on her. She has an opinion of me that's clouded by his lies, so there's no sense in trying to change her mind. So I asked myself, who am I? And then I remembered that before this whole fiasco, I was the person who killed with kindness. While that kindness was manipulated by my soon-to-be ex, I was the one who was in control now. So I did what I thought was right. My children made Father's Day cards for him, and then I had them make cards for her. I had them introduce themselves and list one thing they'd like to do with her. They drew pictures and coloured and all was right in the world. Kill them with kindness. I texted him back last night asking what time was pickup. He was at dinner and said that he'd text me back when they were done. I woke up at 6:30 with no text from him. I texted him back at 6:30, 7:30, 8 and finally received word back from him just before 9. Be there in an hour. Okay, now that that's settled, what do I wear? I opted for the true to myself outfit. Leggings, flip-flops and a cute off-the-shoulder shirt. Very me. Hair curly, makeup light but with a generous amount of mascara. It was now 9:40 so we sat and waited. The boys grew antsy. At 10:30 I get a text that his stomach is upset so they ran a little bit late. Sounds like a case of the nerves to me. Then at just before 11 they arrive. I assemble the boys and the gifts and we come outside. There she is. Right there standing on my steps. For a hot second I raged inside. I wanted to say something smart like, you left me for this? I looked over at him and I saw the look of panic and tension on his face. And that told me that by doing that, I'd be the monster he has fictitiously talked about. So I went back to my motto of kindness. I extended my hand, I smiled warmly, and I introduced myself. She was shocked. Where's this lunatic that I've heard so much of? Why isn't she trying to claw my eyes out? I can only imagine what was running through her head. The boys presented their gifts to Dad and then gave her the cards. Shock took her over again. Cards that aren't death threats? How? Why? At this point, her mood went from fear to pure embarrassment. I must say, it was more delicious to watch that shift than it was to potentially pull her hair out. We hustled the boys into the car, and as my soon-to-be ex walked to the other side of the car to get them in, I turned to her. Shock and fear had returned to her face. She had difficulty making eye contact with me. I could hear my soon-to-be ex's heart beating from 10 feet away. I looked at her and I said, I just want to apologize for how I first spoke to you. I was an emotional wreck, but I said some terrible things and that was very unlike me. I know my actions were justified, but reflected back on that day, I'm unhappy with how I acted toward you. Hello, Shock. Have you met our dear friend Guilt? A wave of guilt took over her as she bumbled through her own half-assed apology. She couldn't say the word affair, instead she said, "What happened?" Own it, girl, just own it. But she did end her nonsensical word vomit wishing to have a conversation with me about what transpired. I used the word transpired. Most of her words were less than 2 syllables. My soon-to-be ex had started to look relieved, now tensed at the idea of her and I having a chat. I've already promised myself that I won't speak badly of him to her. Maybe I'll just give her a link to this thread instead. Ha ha. Now I look forward to her spending 48 hours with him and our kids. Now she can see the short temper and lack of patience he has. It's going to be very hard for him to keep up his Father of the Year act. I'm sure that my children will give me a play-by-play of how their visit went. I'll update you all on Wednesday when the children have returned. Thank you all again for supporting me on this journey. Today was a big day, but I'm proud of my growth. Part of that growth is from the support that I've received from you all. So many thanks. Futile friends. On Sunday evening, I sat home alone, glass of white wine in hand, and replayed the morning over in my head. As I sipped, I let the interaction play out in my mind and I tried to analyse the scenario. My interpretation was that she was stunned, he was flawed, my kids were indifferent, and I was victorious. I was pleased with my behaviour and I felt that there wasn't much more that could be done. She would leave Monday evening and it would be some time until her and I spoke again. Then, almost as if prompted by the gods themselves, my phone pinged. Random number with a strange area code. My heart dropped. I knew it was her. I stared at my phone without opening it for a good minute. I knew that opening that text was opening a door that I wasn't sure I wanted open. Perhaps she would just be apologising, or maybe thanking me for earlier. Were the kids okay? Or perhaps she would have questions or concerns about him and want an ally. I knew after opening that text, no matter what it said, things would never be the same. And we have the messages here. Hi, it's so-and-so, and sorry for the late text, but I just wanted to send a quick message. Thank you for being so kind to me today. You didn't have to be, and I wasn't sure what to expect, but with all of the needed introductions, I was nerve-wracked. You instantly made me able to breathe again. Your boys are wonderful. I genuinely enjoyed spending time with them today. That's a testament to their mum and dad, and I admire where you and him have landed with co-parenting. From my own experience with it, I'm aware that it can vary day to day, lol. I'm sorry the way things started for you and I, but meeting you today makes me hopeful for whatever may come next. Don't feel any pressure to respond, I just wanted to thank you. I hope you have a good night. Simple, right? Straight to the point. A message of thanks. For a split second, I regretted my decision to be kind to her. I took away some of her worry and fear, and yet none of my emotions have changed. But then I remembered, I'm not in the wrong here. I don't need anyone to tell me it's okay because I was not to blame. We spoke a bit more, and by the end of the conversation, I felt sorry for her. She has no idea what she's getting into with him. She thinks that he's her knight in shining armor, but little does she know that she'll have to polish and maintain that armor for him. She was just like me many years ago, blinded by shiny armor that was really just tinfoil. Lies and playing pretend was all he really gave me, and I fear that this will be her outcome too. And the other side of that coin is that she deserves this. You had an affair. She read in my letter that this wasn't the first time I suspected he was unfaithful. Yet she thinks it'll be different with her. Come on, sis, you're smarter than this. You gotta do better, girl. After I picked up the boys, they gave me rave reviews about her and their father. It seems they were rightfully spoiled while she was there, and daddy didn't yell or lose patience once. Amazing, huh? My youngest asked me if this was his new sister. I had to explain the concept of separation and divorce and parents dating. Apparently, even with his girlfriend in the room, my soon-to-be ex avoided an actual conversation with our kids. Sigh, some things never change. So while they won knockoff Marvel prizes at the arcade with her and their dad, it seems that she's won the biggest knockoff prize of them all. My first second. For those of you that love the dirt and gossip about my soon-to-be ex, I'm sorry. This is not a post about him, this is a post about me. A little while back I sat in my home in silence. The children were gone and I was in a partial meditation/trance, thinking about what I want my future to be like. I'm 38, I have 2 children, a job, friends, grey hair peeking from my temples, a tight family, future schooling for my 3rd degree, a mortgage, cellulite, and a kind but damaged heart. Where do I go from here? And more importantly, who would want to go with me? Dating was easy in my 20s. My skin was tight, I could be spontaneous, everything I own fit perfectly, and going on an 11 PM date for drinks was totally doable. I'm not that girl anymore. So how does a woman like me meet a man that'll like me? I'm lost. Are there bars, nightclubs, pottery painting? I've seen speed dating on TV. Does that really exist? Or is that reserved only for sitcoms? Reluctantly, I googled how to date in your 30s. Some of you have probably beat me to the punchline, but the answer was right in front of me. Online dating. I cringed. Having no real reason not to, I created an online dating profile. I filled in all the blanks, I set my preferences, I uploaded a few pictures where the outfits fit right, and the lighting's superb, and I published the page. I walk away from my phone full of nervous energy and I grab a snack. Chocolate will help. After I eat out of pure anxiety, I return to my phone. I have a message from the app. I'm afraid. I ignore it out of fear and strangely guilt. Fear that he may be a serial killer. And guilt because while my soon-to-be ex has moved on, I feel guilty that I'm still legally married and on a dating site. I do the only logical thing next. I go to bed. I lay in bed and I try to remember what a first date is like. The awkward hello. Is it a handshake, a hug, a kiss on the cheek, a full open mouth sloppy kiss, the cumbersome chit-chat? The weather's crazy. Read any good books lately? How about them Mets? And of course the uncomfortable goodbye. I don't even know how to do this or even if I can. Do you talk about your ex or do you avoid it like the plague? Do you be no nonsense and get right to the good and bad about yourself to not waste time? Because honestly, who has time to casually date at this age? I tell myself to go to sleep. Eventually I listen. I awake to sunlight, the hum of the AC, and a pinging phone. I have a text from my mother and 14 messages all from the dating site. This must be a mistake. I must have put the wrong age or been too lenient with my preferences. I scroll through message after message and I see that these men all share the same thing. They're interested in learning more about me. I sift through the profiles like their resumes for a job and I land on 3 potential candidates, all around my age and location, all divorced, all wishing to converse with me. My nerves have now transitioned to excitement, but peppered with a bit of anxiety. This is it. I'm doing it. I'm officially jumping into the deep, dark dating pool. After a few days of chatting with all 3, I solidified my suitor. Soon I'll be engaging in my first second date. Wish me luck and I'll update soon. Yeah, like the top comment says, I feel like I know you at this point. And I've got to say, I'm so proud of you. Yes, same here. This is incredible to read. And what's gonna happen next? Let's get into the third part. Gaslighting or overreaction. Today, my soon-to-be ex dropped off the kids after having them for a few days. He told me yesterday that he would be dropping them off at noon. When 1 p.m. arrived, I was a bit worried. All of my texts to him were answered with 1 or 2 word answers. That is strange for him to do. I get a text at 1:45 that he's on his way and that the AF is with him. What? I was never informed that she would be here with the kids. I have no idea if she's been here the whole time or just flew in today. I was furious. I don't care if it's her or anybody else. I want to know who my children will be around. Period. Full stop. So they arrive and I'll let her into my home. While he sorts through the mail, she stands awkwardly in my foyer. So then I say, I'll just tell both of you since you're here. If the kids are going to be around her or anybody else, I want to know. I support your relationship and I'm happy that you, a fair partner, are here with them. I just want to know beforehand and not after the fact. He looked offended. He smushed his face almost in disbelief. She stood statue still and refused to make eye contact. I understand her position. She was in enemy territory. And I hit her with a bomb. I'm not mad at her. She probably had no idea he didn't tell me. Maybe he lied and said that he did. Who knows? But she's a mum. I'm sure she gets my point, whether she agrees or not. My issue's with him. I know I'm right. I know it should be a non-discussion, common sense if you will. But no, he left being very cold to me. And I started to second guess my decision to say something. Did I let my emotions get the best of me? Or did he gaslight me and make me feel like I'm crazy? Did they think because we had one meet that she had the green light to play stepmom now? Publicising paradise. Newlyweds always look forward to their honeymoon. White sandy beaches, tropical drinks with little umbrellas, sex all day and all night. Paradise, right? Well, my soon-to-be ex and I never took one. We were in the process of buying a house and could not afford to do both. Well, I say we were buying a house, but in reality it was me. I put the 20% down and the mortgage and deed is in my name because he was broke and had terrible credit. But he said he was okay with skipping the honeymoon and that when we were married for 10 years we could take that honeymoon together. Super sweet, right? Well, we booked a Bahamas trip for August 2020, but COVID had other plans. Then, as you all know, him and the affair partner started their little relationship in September of 2020. Well, this weekend he took our honeymoon trip with her. A lot of crappy things have happened since I found out about the affair in November, but this one really hurt. I gave this man 13 years of my life, 2 kids, a good home, bought him 2 cars, made countless meals, stayed up with newborns and sick children, shuttled the kids to activities, etc. And my reward for years of doing literally everything was taking her on the trip that we booked together. He twisted the knife that he plunged into me with this one. So this past weekend I unplugged. I took the boys to the beach and we had our own mini vacation. I was keeping myself occupied and spent time making memories with the boys. Saturday evening after the boys are in bed, my phone rings. It's my ex-mother-in-law. She's probably just checking up on the kids. A bit of backstory, they've had a rocky relationship over the years, and he does not speak to her for things that I found out later were mostly just lies and stories that he made up in his head. Anyway, I ignored the call. I just didn't feel like chatting. A few minutes later, my ex-sister-in-law calls me. Now I think something's wrong. She's concerned and angry. Are you okay? What's going on? Have people been calling you? I was so confused. Well, as it turns out, AF took a picture of them together in the Bahamas, posted to her Facebook and tagged my soon-to-be ex. What? I was in complete shock. Let me explain. A lot of people don't know about our situation. I haven't told my extended family, most of my co-workers, and even some friends. He was so paranoid about his family finding out because he knew they'd be upset, especially his grandmother who thinks that he's the golden child. So there it is, out in social media for all to see. Our shared family members, my co-workers and friends. I was livid. He took away the possibility of us salvaging our marriage with his affair. My hands were tied, he was in love with someone else, fine. Now he took away my privacy. My marital status is now out there for all to know. Again, I was stripped of the ability to make a decision for myself and tell people on my own time. I went through my phone and I saw that I had missed calls from 2 co-workers and a friend. I can only assume that's why they called. I haven't called them back because I don't know what to say. Haha, yeah, I'm separated. Yeah, I didn't want to tell people until I was legally divorced. Yep, he's got a girlfriend. Sure, I'll retell the story and live through that pain again. No problem. So I confronted him via text and his response, we're divorced and everything but the paperwork. You've gone on dates and living your life just like I am. What? You mean the only thing that really signifies a divorce is the one thing that we don't have? What an idiot. And yeah, I've gone on a handful of dates, but I'm not posting about them on social media and sending selfies to our family and friends. Look, I get it. You're in a relationship and you're happy. That's great. All I'm asking for is a little respect. You publicising your vacation with her also affects me, but I guess you have to give a first to recognise that. I want you all to know that I read each and every one of your comments. A lot of you have stated that I need to start doing for me. I want you all to know that I hear you and I agree with you. I've been wrestling with the decision for the past few weeks now concerning my future and the boy's well-being. Today when I pick up the boys from his apartment, I'm going to tell him my plan in which I require his signature. I hope he doesn't fight me on this, it's what's best. I don't want to reveal too much for my reasoning, as you never know who's reading. I'll update you all soon. Home sweet home. Months ago when we started the mediation process, there was a great deal of negotiating. We both flip-flopped on our wants and made compromises. One thing I was never willing to compromise was retaining the house in the divorce. I made concessions and declined alimony, but I never wavered on the house. It was agreed that the house would be 100% mine and that there'd be no alimony. Now, because my soon-to-be ex was so done with the mediation process and looking forward to his new life, he never took the time to have the house properly assessed. Instead, he opted to just take a number off an outdated website and use that as our base point to figure out home value. Our mediator did the numbers based on what we owe on the house and what our profits would each be. Then she figured out what alimony over a period of time would be, and it was close to what his profit for the house would be. So he agreed to that arrangement, but the home value was inaccurate. He didn't know that, but I did. So now that our divorce agreement filed into court has me owning the house, which is only in my name by the way, I had to have him sign off that I could sell it before the divorce was finalised and that he could not retain any of the profit from the sale. He came over to pick up the boys and I talked to him about it. I explained how a move would help the boys as we could live with my mother who lives in a fabulous school district. It would also help me to not struggle financially and allow me to return to school for my 3rd degree without worrying about tuition or childcare. Our kids would have round-the-clock care from me and my retired parents and be close to their cousins who also live in that town. He agreed it was a good idea, signed the paperwork and left. I immediately sent the papers to my lawyer. A weight has been lifted off my shoulders. The next morning I awake to a long text from him. With time to think and time to speak to his affair partner probably, he became very angry. He accused me of making a selfish decision, and it wasn't best for the boys. So you mean to tell me a better school system, town-sponsored sports teams, living with grandparents who have time to spend with them, going to school with their cousins of the same age, and allowing me the ability to not struggle financially and provide them with more is a selfish idea? So I asked him when he plans to move across the country to be with a fair partner. Will that move be in the best interest of the boys or him? Silence. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's completely blind to his own actions. Like, he does not see the way that he acts, does he? He knew I was right, so he switched gears. He then complained about the commute for him to pick up and drop them off. I reminded him that this move adds to my daily work commute as well, and it's not just an issue for him, but it would benefit the boys, so I'm willing to do it. Plus, it's only 18 miles further from him. It isn't clear across the state. Then the real reason, he wants money. He said that he deserves some of the profit for the money that he contributed for 10 years. Okay, I see your point, but you gave me the house willingly after I declined alimony. Then you signed off willingly that I could sell before the marriage was finalized. You should have done your research about what the house was worth, like the mediator suggested, instead of just relying on the internet. If I give you a dime, it's out of the goodness of my heart because I'm not obligated to do anything for you. So I asked him after all these months and what you put me through, do you deserve my kindness? He changed the subject and complained about something else, avoiding the question and the obvious answer. Now I get to truly start over. My boys and I will be surrounded by family who love and support us. I'll have zero financial worries, be able to return to school, put money away for the boys' college, and have enough left to put down on another home when the housing market settles down. This is a decision that was necessary for my future and the future of my boys. I've been waiting to get to the point to be able to do this, and the time is now. The boys will start in a new school with their cousins in September, and I'm already looking into town sports and activities for them. I know my soon-to-be ex is angry and bitter about this, especially since his hands are tied, but he made a decision for himself a few months ago to start this affair, and that was exactly how I felt. Now we both move on and look towards the future that we selected for ourselves. Layups and rebounds. The past few days I spent at the beach with my dearest friend and her children. The kids played, ate pizza, swam and made great memories. We all did. I appreciated the mental break from life and just kicking back and soaking in all life has to offer. In the evening we tucked in our children, who were rightfully exhausted, and then sat outside in the warm, salty air and talked. We sipped white wine and gabbed for most of the evening. It was so lovely and a reminder that good friends are so necessary. The family that you can choose. Of course our conversation drifted from time to my soon-to-be ex. That is to be expected. She started speculating on why and when and all the other factors that could have led to this decision, and there were so many questions. After finishing our glasses, we came to the conclusion that there is no rhyme or reason, and logic fails us in this inquiry. What we did start to explore, which I had not previously, was what were her motivations. She legally divorces and a month later is dating my soon-to-be ex. Granted, they were friends and former colleagues, but to jump right into serious dating less than a month after a divorce seemed strange. My friend then said she didn't even get the chance to have a rebound. Then it hit me. Is my soon-to-be ex the rebound? A man was giving her comfort during a difficult time, giving her gifts and flying to her, etc. Is it possible that this is a safe and comfortable rebound for her? Aside from regular visits, he's flown out there 3 times just to accompany her to weddings. During my investigation before confrontation, I read multiple messages from him telling her that he loved her, and she did not reciprocate that sentiment. Maybe she does now, but she did not then. Again, I know this is futile, a waste of my time, and it will be fruitless, but I'm so curious to this possibility. I know many have stated that I speak too much about him, I should move on, I should live my life. I am a woman, hear me roar. But the real truth is this post is therapy to me. A diary entry, if you will. At no point did I ever expect or promise to be a role model or a beacon of shining light to struggling victims of infidelity. Instead, I'm being honest and truthful to what surviving a cheater looks like. It's unforgiving, it's empowering, it's a struggle, and most importantly, it's a process. So yeah, I will get to the happy place that we all hope for. But until then, this is the journey. Take the ride with me and see the reality. Or sit on the sidelines and wait for the happy ending. Makes no difference to me because I'm strapped in and gunning the gas. Buckle up, buttercup, because it's full speed ahead. The red eye. Back in May of this year, I made the custody schedule that my soon-to-be ex and I currently follow. I took into consideration all of his visits out to see her, and I structured a fair and equal schedule. Again, that was May. He left on Wednesday evening to go visit her, and he was set to take a red-eye home last night, Sunday, and then pick the boys up this morning. I confirmed the pickup times before he left, and even during the day Sunday, I woke up to this message today. While I was not happy, he seemed sincere, and I understand flights are currently unpredictable. I had no appointment scheduled for today and plans this evening, which I had to reschedule. I had to also explain to the boys that the schedule for today had now changed. I told him that he should probably avoid red eyes moving forward, and he agreed. Again, I'm relaying all of this to you very calmly, but I was a bit frustrated and annoyed this morning. Then I retold the story to my sister and she commented, "It seemed weird that he got the exact same flight time. Sunday flight schedules are usually different than Mondays." She was right, so I looked up the airport he was flying out of, and there were no delayed or cancelled flight schedules for that time on Sunday evening. He was lying. He never scheduled a flight for Sunday. He was always due to return Monday evening. He just didn't bother to tell me. When I called him out on it and asked for his flight cancellation information, he just sent the new flight for this evening and said that he wasn't going to get into this with me today. All I asked for was a screenshot from his United account showing the flight was cancelled, and he couldn't do that. Instead, he just insisted I was crazy and failed to provide any evidence that he was in fact telling the truth. That's a great example of what he does. On the exterior, he's kind and apologetic, but deep down, he's manipulative and sneaky. Then when I call him on the BS, he's defensive and dismissive. I'm frustrated because he's always telling me that we need to communicate better, and meanwhile, he still refuses to do so. Do as I say, not as I do. I wonder if the affair partner knows he did this. I doubt it. This woman is welcoming this pathological, manipulative liar into her life, and she has no idea. I honestly feel bad for her, but I guess that's what you get when you knowingly poach a cheater. He's probably telling her that I'm going off on him for a completely different reason. He's always making me the bad guy. I feel a bit defeated because I know that while he lives here and we share this custody arrangement, he'll continue to take advantage and manipulate me. Then he gaslights me into thinking that I'm crazy. It's a cycle that I don't know how to break. And the part that angers me the most is if he would have told me before he left that he needed an extra day, I would have been accommodating. I wouldn't have booked appointments or made evening plans. I would have said okay and told him that I'd like to just tack on an extra day somewhere for me. No harm, no foul. Why couldn't he just do that? Why build a story about being at the airport most of the night, talking to flight reps for 2 hours, trying to get earlier flights that were booked or expensive? Why do any of that? What or who are you protecting? I honestly don't understand his motivations or reasoning. All I know is that I need this behaviour to stop so that I can go about my life. Money matters. First and foremost, let me just say, the audacity of my ex will never cease to amaze me. While that being said, let's talk about money. January 2020, my soon-to-be ex and I created an MSA. Master Service Agreement, I think that means. This MSA had me declining alimony and keeping the house. Come March 2020, he wanted to change the MSA for a different custody agreement, not for the house or other assets. June 2020, we sign our MSA, but in our state, once the paperwork is served to the defendant, they have 30 days to contest the MSA. Spoiler, he did not contest. July 2020, I decide that I want to sell the house, so I have him sign another legal document waiving his right to the home and any equity and profit from the sale. Now we fast forward to September 2020, he wants the house. I swear this man makes his own rules. Luckily, I'd hired a lawyer already and she explained to me that his chances of getting the house now are non-existent, but he could fight the relocation of the children. She explained that that would be a lengthy procedure and very expensive on both of our ends. I know for a fact that my soon-to-be ex is struggling financially, so I called his bluff. I told him to get a lawyer. I can prove financially that I need to sell the house. I can also show that they're moving to a far better school district, will be attending school with their cousins, will have more opportunity for extracurriculars, and will have round-the-clock care from grandparents. I took the children to see their new school and it is quite amazing. The kids are so excited to go to their new school. I have all of the chips stacked in my favour. Also, our MSA has him tentatively moving out of state at some point. Why would a judge agree to keep them closer to their dad if he'll be leaving soon? His defense for the long relocation? It's a long drive. Really? The commute went from 12 miles to 28. I didn't move across the state. Is it convenient? No, I get that, but it's not impossible. He suggested the boys start their new school in January. January? He said they should stay in the house until it's sold. This suggestion makes no sense. If the commute's your issue, how does that commute change in January? Newsflash, it doesn't. It makes zero sense to have the kids start a routine only to pull them out. They'll start a new school and be behind on whatever curriculum they're teaching. So I thought about it. What's his motivation to push for January? Then I realised his lease is up in March. He's probably moving to her state. So a commute from January to March is much easier than September to March. Once again, a decision made in his best interest and not in the boys. I think he sees the odds are not in his favour on this one and has stopped fighting me. For now. So money. It makes the world go round, right? It apparently makes my divorce more complicated as well. Insert eye roll. My soon-to-be ex, since learning that I'd be selling the house, has asked me on different occasions for $5,000, then 10, then 15, and now with the threat of lawyers, 20. Did you eat paint chips as a kid? Because you're seriously delusional. You're entitled to nothing. If I give you a dime, it's because I want to. And you can't give me a dollar amount that I'm gifting you. It's my money, buddy. I told him I'm no longer entertaining talks of money with him. He knows he's at my mercy, and I kinda like it. Lastly, I received a Facebook message on the 23rd of the 8th, which I never saw because the person was not my friend. I saw it yesterday, and lo and behold, it's the affair partner's ex-husband. He says to me, "Hi, it's so-and-so, how are you? I feel like we should talk. Maybe we can help each other figure some things out. I just wanted to reach out and see if you wanted to talk about anything." I'm not really that surprised. They talk for years. Wow, plot twist. I've heard terrible stories about him, but the affair partner has heard terrible stories about me, which were untrue. Could she be as big of a liar as my soon-to-be ex? Could the affair partner's ex know more than I do about their affair when it comes to timeline? Maybe he knows a move date. I feel like this is a conversation I should entertain, but cautiously. I messaged him back and I'm awaiting a reply. I'll post once I have some answers. The affair partner's ex. Readers, I'm sorry that it's been so long, especially with the cliffhanger that I left you with. My life, as usual, has been a bit upside down. Between moving, selling the house, starting back to in-person school and my graduate program, I don't know if I'm coming or going. But I, of course, made time to speak with the affair partner's ex. First of all, as I stated in a previous post, I was told this man was a terrible person. A drunk, a gambler, a womanizer, etc. And stupid me, I listened. But now I can hear the other side of the story. One that isn't tainted by my ex and his affair partner. I learned so much, so forgive me if it seems all jumbled. I've got no idea where to start, so in a nutshell, here's what I learned. He did have a drinking problem, but got sober in 2017. The affair partner's ex has known that they've talked for years, and unlike me, knew that there was romance brewing. I learned that my soon-to-be ex met her a few years ago for dinner when she was in the area for work, and he told her that he loved her. She told her significant other, and he said he knew at that moment something would happen with them eventually, and he shut down emotionally with her. That was the beginning of the end for him. He confirmed my notion that she liked to be fawned over. He suspects that she entertained my soon-to-be ex for the attention, and to receive attention from her significant other. Gross, right? Anyway, they were not meshing and they grew apart. They did not divorce in September of 2020, as I was told, but instead they separated at that time, and they weren't legally divorced until March of 2021. Even grosser, right? She raked this man over the coals financially as well. She closed out their joint account and took all the money and then filed for divorce. What a peach, huh? She brought up his 2017 rehab stint to get full custody with supervised visitation for him. She's also introducing him to her family and friends as her new boyfriend, and leaving out the affair and the fact that he's still married. The affair partner's ex is apparently still friendly with her family and some friends, and wants to make sure that this fact becomes common knowledge. Justified exposure, and I'm here for it. The affair partner's ex also thought my soon-to-be ex was already living in their state, and was not aware that he was staying in her house with her when he visits. Spoiler, it's his house, not hers. Needless to say, he's not happy about this. He was also not aware until he found me on Facebook that we had children together. Apparently this wasn't an important detail for the affair partner to bring up when she mentioned my soon-to-be ex to him. He also confirmed that she's a spender, money's like water, and she'll probably bleed my soon-to-be ex dry. We ended our hours-long text chain with a job for each other. He's tasked with finding out the official move date for my soon-to-be ex, and he would like to know when he's travelling to their state and staying in their house. Phew, that was a lot. I hope you were able to digest all of that. I had a rather expensive phone call with my lawyer the other day. It turns out that he can challenge the MSA for the house, but it'll be a long process and the divorce will probably be finalised by the time it goes through. She also said the timing isn't good, as he had his 35 days to dispute the MSA, and has waited until after I put the house on the market to fight for it. She assures me that the judge will see this as a backpedaling money grab on a legal document that we both agreed to and not support it. As for my relocation, he can also dispute that, but I officially live in this new town and I have completely moved out of my house. My soon-to-be ex claims that I violated my MSA with legal custody, enrolling them in a new school. My lawyer again reminded me that I'm the custodial parent, and if I move, they have to go to school wherever I live. He's pushing for the $20,000, and my lawyer's confident that he has zero grounds for receiving it, and will ultimately give up this fight as it's an expensive legal process, and he's currently in the red financially. Oh, get this, the boys had their first day of school on Thursday the 9th of the 9th, and I was going to pick them up from my soon-to-be ex's place on the 8th of the 9th, and bring them with me so that they can start fresh in the morning. The evening of the 8th of the 9th was technically his night to have them, but he agreed to me taking them days prior. So he sends me a text claiming that the 8th of the 9th was his night, and he would keep them home on their first day of school unless I agreed to the $20K. Wow. Excuse me, did you just hold my children prisoner for a check? Are you admitting truancy? I told my lawyer this and she balked. She said this will be the first screenshot that she presents if and when we go to court. Bottom line, nothing's in his favour. His affair partner's trying to squeeze me like she did her ex. But baby girl, you don't know me. You obviously don't know who you're f***ing with. Playing the long game. 20th of the 9th, 2021. Have you ever seen A Bronx Tale? It's a classic coming-of-age mafia drama with a touch of romance and a dash of racial tension. Okay, I'm no Siskel and Ebert, but I think this film is a must-watch. Lately, I've been thinking about this film much more. There's a scene in the movie in which the young protagonist is angry at a kid who has not paid him back $20 that he lent him. Sonny, the wise crime boss and father figure, asks him, "Was he a good friend of yours?" And the young man replies, "No, I don't even like him." So Sonny tells him, "There's your answer right there. Look at it this way. It cost you $20 to get rid of him. He's out of your life forever." I keep on cycling back to this scene because I feel like it's so relevant to me now. My wish, as selfish as it may seem to some, has always been that my soon-to-be ex would move away and leave my boys and I to move on peacefully. Is it possible that by giving him a check that I could make this happen? Again, I'm just toying with this idea. I know my soon-to-be ex, I know what he ultimately wants, and that's to leave and start a life with her. If I give him money, I'd be financing his move out of my life. Let me explain how I know this to be true. Last week when we argued about money and he asked for a ridiculous sum of 20 grand to pay for his expenses of shuffling the boys back and forth and wear and tear on his car, I called his bluff. I told him I'd give him the 20k but stipulated that he can't move out of state for 2 years. He was enraged at this. "You can't tell me what to do with it and where I can live, blah blah blah." If he really wanted money to pay for commuting expenses for the kids, like he claimed, he would have snatched this deal, but he didn't. So I know that he has no intention of staying. So if, and I said if, I decide to give him money, it'd only be carried out after he signs a legal document stating that he's receiving a one-time payment. I've been more open to this idea because number one, I want him to go. Number two, my house is under contract and I'm receiving well over asking. Number three, if he moves out of state, he owes me close to $1,000 a month in child support, and I'll make my initial investment back in no time. But I also hate the idea. This man bet it all and won. I was the victim and I lost and I feel like I keep losing. I know I'm playing the long game here, and years from now when the affair partner bleeds him dry and or he cheats again, because he will, and or my kids grow to learn what he did and want no part of him, I will have won. But I feel like for that to happen I have to take some lumps now. I'm going all 3 rounds and the bell hasn't even rung for the end of the first. I have a lot of thinking and talking to my lawyer to do. Is it another loss for me to give him the money? Or is it just another of my elaborate yet patient plans like the one that started this post months ago? I'm still debating. Father of the Year, 24th of the 9th, 2021. Sometimes, and only sometimes, my life shocks even me. I sit back and I look at the situation and I think, this poor girl, how did she ever get here? Then I snap back to reality and I realise that that poor girl is me. Just when I think the worst has been done and I've seen it all, another event surprises even me. It's like I'm walking around in a complete state of disbelief and my jaws are locked in an open and stupefied position. 4 very short days ago, I actually had a moment of weakness and I entertained the idea of giving him what he wanted, yet again, and signing a check over to him. And then, just to kick himself in the pants, today happens and now there's zero doubt in my mind. He will never see anything from me and that's the only thing he'll be able to take to the bank. Wednesday and Thursday night, according to this month's custody schedule that he made, was supposed to be his overnights. He told me a few days ago that he had to be in work very early Friday morning and asked if he could drop the boys off Thursday evening and lose his night with them due to work. I said okay and we kept it moving. Today, Friday, while at work, I got a text from the affair partner's ex. The affair partner texted him to warn him that my soon-to-be ex would be there at 8 a.m. Saturday morning to watch their oldest child's sports practice. She wanted to give him a heads up and asked affair partner ex to be respectful. This would be the first time that they've met. Affair partner's ex isn't thrilled about it and I don't blame him, but affair partner's ex texted me to give me a heads up that he was in their state. But wait, how could this be? He had to go into work this morning. He usually works from home. Thanks, COVID. And there's no way he could be there. So I thought about it. How could I figure out that he took a flight this morning or potentially after work today? Then I remembered. He has my Easy Pass in his car. If you don't know what Easy Pass is, it's a toll pass transponder that allows you to zip through road tolls but records the date, time and location. So I returned to my Nancy Drew days of yore and I logged into my account. And there it was. He left his apartment at the first toll at 5:58 a.m. and exited at the toll for the airport at 6:03. Yeah, it's a short distance, especially 6 a.m. That was not the direction he needed to head for work. He obviously boarded a plane this morning, so he gave up an evening with his kids on a night that he scheduled to go see her and her children. And then he lied to me about it. Just to be at her son's practice and eat dinner with them and not his own boys. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you father of the Yeah. So I call him multiple times, no answer, and forwarded to voicemail most of the times as well. Then I text him, he reads it but does not respond. Then he finally responds almost 3 hours later and says that he was on a plane and wasn't ignoring me, and he didn't board until after he was done with work, which was after 1 p.m. Then I tell him that I've seen the Easy Pass and he reads my messages and doesn't respond. He's been caught. He has no defense. Caught in a time-stamped lie. How can you defend yourself from that? Spoiler, you can't. But honestly, I'm happy. So happy. He helped me make my decision about the money. For the tiniest second, I thought we were going to reach common ground and be amicable, that we've established mutual respect and we're going to be forthcoming adults. Ha ha, stupid me. He's an idiot and incapable of that. Insert facepalm slap. So I deactivated the Easy Pass. Have fun paying your tolls on your way home. He's broke and can't afford a lawyer's retainer. So he just paid a fee to have a document drafted that asked for 20 grand. I'm supposed to sign it and return it to him. I told my lawyer to ignore the letter. It's not a filed motion. It's a letter asking, begging for money that he doesn't deserve. So it will be ignored. Want to take me to court? Pay a lawyer like I did. And then after you've wasted your money that you don't have, on a case that I've checked and double checked that I can't lose, then maybe you'll see how royally screwed you are. This is incredible to read. But there are also 9 parts in this, and we're still on the 3rd one. How do the sagas that I read keep on getting longer? Chess game, 27th of the 9th, 2021. At about 10:30 a.m. I had to text him. I didn't want to. I want to start keeping him at arm's length, but I had to make sure that he was picking the boys up from school. So I texted him and asked for confirmation. He seemed confused as to why I needed confirmation. Oh, I don't know, perhaps it's because you're irresponsible and completely unpredictable. I had questions for him about why he lied, but I realised asking would be futile. He would just lie or gaslight or even ignore. So I decided to do the same. Why am I jeopardising my sanity? It's like pulling teeth, and honestly, all the teeth are rotten. But then to my surprise, he starts interrogating me. He has questions about the affair partner's ex. Well, apparently the affair partner's ex spoke to the affair partner and stated that he questioned my soon-to-be ex's character since he's still married. Her response? They separated before we did. Lie. And their paperwork has been in the courts for over a year waiting to be processed. Second lie. I think we see why my soon-to-be ex and her get along so well. They're literally made for each other. Anyway, affair partner's ex knew when we separated and that we're still married. So he retorted that we've only been separated since December 2020 and this is why men can't be trusted. I trusted affair partner's ex with a little bit of info and our covers blown. My soon-to-be ex wanted to know how he knew this, since apparently me, him and the affair partner are the only ones who knew that we're still legally married. What's wrong, honey? Afraid people will find out your dirty little secret? Her friends and family will find out that she's a husband stealer? Yikes, that won't help the perfect little image that you have. My soon-to-be ex claimed that the affair partner's ex is scummy and unsafe and can't be trusted, and if I'm talking to him I need to stop. Wait, hold up, did you just try to tell me what to do? I'm sorry, you must have me confused with somebody who has to listen to you, because I know damn well that's not me. So I asked, what does it matter if I talk to him? I didn't choose to have children with him. If he's so unstable, her procreating with him is more unsafe than me speaking to him. This sounds like a her problem, not a me problem. Again, I think him saying that he's unsafe for the children is using her kids as the scapegoats. I think they're just afraid of their dirty laundry being aired. Concerning the neglecting of our kids to hop on a plane to her state, he claims that I have it all wrong. Warning, here comes the lies and gaslighting. He claims he drove to the airport in the morning, boarded mass transit and headed to work, then returned to the airport and hopped on a plane. Are you crazy? This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Not to mention he lives in a commuter town closer to the city that he works in than the actual airport. How does this even make sense? My reply, listen, it doesn't matter. I don't ever expect you to be honest and that's fine. You've lied to me for over a decade and I don't expect any of that to change. It doesn't matter, it's a fair partner's issue now, not mine. Then he went on to defend himself claiming that he hasn't lied about a thing. Bruh. A dear friend told me that he thinks he's playing you and winning, but he's playing this game alone. I'm not a competitor sitting across from him at the chessboard. Each time he thinks he's winning by dealing me a blow, he's actually hurting himself. Yeah, every lie he tells me makes it a little bit easier to not give a shit. Every stupid, selfish thing he does only helps my case against him. He's playing this chess game by himself and every winning move is a loss. Only once the divorce is finalised and the chessboard is cleared will he see that his king has fallen and all the pieces are mine. And that's the end of the 3rd part. Yeah, these narcissistic liars always think that they're so smart and that they've got everybody fooled because they're such a genius, but they don't have anybody fooled and everybody can see what they're doing. Okay, let's get into part 4. Bad Company, the 6th of the 10th, 2021. Wolves travel in packs, elephants form herds, birds flock together, cheetahs keep close company. Could this last statement be true? I believe so. Let me tell you all a story. My soon-to-be ex had 2 close friends. These friends, along with their amazing wives, would spend time with my soon-to-be ex and I going to dinners, children's birthday parties, concerts, and football Sundays. While the wives and I had no connection except our husbands, we ultimately became friends. This is the story of those women, their soon-to-be exes, and how narcissists attract narcissistic friends. These women are all now divorced or going through the process. We have found strength in each other, and for that I'm grateful. If you thought my story was intense, I hope this post makes you realise there are women in situations just as inconceivable as mine. I addressed the other 2 members of the First Wives Club about posting their stories, and they were excited to let the world know, anonymously of course, their stories. I asked each woman to select a nickname that represented their ex, and I'm excited to tell you the story of Dobby and Campanella. Dobby, this man was an outgoing man who was always the life of the party. Sometimes irresponsible, but always concerned with the well-being of others. He was always very kind to me, and when he met his now ex, I was over the moon for them both. She's a smart and spicy woman who's kind and painfully honest. They seemed to complement each other well, and I even shed a tear at their wedding. But only a few short months after their weddings, things would take a turn. Dobby was cheating with men. Yeah, you heard right, folks, men. And how did she find out? Well, he came clean via a text message while she was working. Wow, talk about timing. He should have been upfront and honest about his uncertainty with his partner before the marriage. She was hurt and confused and questioned how she got there. While he looked for men online and through apps, she was left in the dark. Of course, his narcissistic mentality made him the victim. She's the only one legally divorced now, and she's living her best life. Moved out of state, got a great job, and is embracing her new lease on life. I'm so proud of her, and I hope to be her one day soon. Campanella, let me tell you about this man. This guy literally stepped in it when he met his soon-to-be ex. She is a literal beauty queen who is kind and comes from a good family and is so intelligent. But early on into their marriage, there were questions about his loyalty to her. On one occasion, she found a Bumble profile of his, in which his profile picture simply cropped her out. On the outside, he was outgoing and a friend to all. But obviously he was too friendly. While he not only had issues with commitment, he also had issues that needed to be clinically diagnosed. When I say this, I mean his mood shifted with the wind. He started to become very nasty. He would yell at her and say such terrible and undeserving things. Perhaps he was pushing her away out of guilt, or maybe he's just a jerk. My money's on the latter. But never fear, remember I said she was intelligent? She started recording his rants and verbal abuse. She had enough evidence and was about to leave. But he got smart and realised what she was doing. At that point, he took her phone and deleted all the saved voice memos, and even took a swing at her. Big tough guy, right? The next day, she picked their child up from daycare, filed a restraining order, and never returned. Today, his mood still changed. He sends her pictures of women he's dating, and then a day later, he's begging her to get back together. Wow. The First Wives and I agreed that he's only doing this because the fear of being alone is now overtaking him. Who will feed his narcissistic ego? Yeah, that's right. He'll probably be just like my soon-to-be ex when he meets a new fool. I mean woman, to coddle him. My point in sharing these stories was simple. We are all dealing with narcissists. Some stories are more complex than others, but all are tragic for the victims. So if you're reading and think my story's too wild to exist, please know that my story is one of many that can be told. In the end though, we're all better off for taking the steps to move on. I hope if you're struggling with a narcissist or a cheater or abuser or overall piece of trash partner, that you take the steps to leave and move on. There is better out there for you, you just need to step outside and find it. 100%. Beer muscles, 19th of the 10th, 2021. I dread Mondays, not because of returning to the work routine, well also because of the work routine, but because of the return of my soon-to-be ex. On Mondays he returns from a long weekend visiting the affair partner in her state, and he usually returns guns a-blazing. He'll text me paragraphs demanding things. He'll become even more hard-headed and confrontational. Yeah, he develops like beer muscles for lack of a better term. He spends a carefree weekend playing the role of supportive boyfriend and amazing stepdad. I'm sure he's excellent at it. It's very easy to put on a temporary show. While there, I picture them laying on her couch and coming up with evil ways to destroy me, ruin me financially, or just plain talk me. None of this is good. Her hate for me is probably all rooted in a lie that he told about me. Definitely. Don't worry, love, the lies will start involving you soon too. Be ready. They probably sip cheap wine and evil laugh to themselves. I picture her cackling and snorting at elaborate schemes that they create to demolish me. Gross. So Monday he returns with an agenda. A to-do list created by his puppet master. I can see it now. Number 1, berate her early in the morning while she's just starting work so she can start her day off unpleasantly. Number 2, demand money that you're not legally entitled to. If you annoy her enough, she might cave, right? Harassment goes a long way. Tell her about all the things that she's done wrong. None of this is factual and it's all twisted truth, but she's a nice person, she'll feel guilty anyway. Number 4, half-heartedly apologize for the affair. Don't actually mean it because hey, you can't change it and you aren't actually sorry, but it's nice to be patronizing. Number 5, remind her you're doing everything in the best interest of the children. Having an affair, potentially moving out of state, fighting their mum on every decision, not giving her money for them, losing your temper at the drop of the hat when you have them, is all in their best interest, right? By the time he checks off his honey-do list, my head is spinning. I'm emotionally exhausted and angry, I feel helpless and alone and strangely guilty. I honestly feel guilty that I subjected my kids to this. Why did I choose this man? Why did I do this to them? But this time it was different. This time I didn't play the helpless victim. This time I took charge. I called the courthouse to see what's delaying my divorce. Turns out the courts must be operated by Lloyd and Harry because they misplaced half of my paperwork. Yeah, they misplaced or improperly filed legal documents pertaining to my divorce and maybe many others as well. So I called my lawyer, who's also a badass woman, and she gave that clerk hell. When I spoke to her afterwards, she was ranting and out of breath. If anybody wants her business card, let me know. She's worth the money. Anyway, I get an email from her today and they're fast-tracking my divorce, skipping the Zoom calls, thanks COVID, and making a final decision just from the submitted paperwork. Well, I'll be damned. Looks like my divorce is closer than I had imagined. Goodbye helplessness, hello freedom. D-Day, 27th of the 10th, 2021. Today was a normal day. Normal refusal to get out of bed, normal straining to put my face on in the mirror, normal coffee, normal gridlock, normal coffee stain on shirt from stop and go gridlock, normal work banter, normal paperwork, normal return home gridlock, normal homework, normal dinner, normal wrangling of children for bedtime. Just well normal. As I settled in from my rather routine day, I noticed that my emails have not refreshed all day. Waiting for the red bubble to appear with an ungodly high double-digit number, I cringe at the thought of emails I've missed that need replying. I swipe through all the junk and ads offering discounts. We all know they aren't real discounted savings in those promo emails. And see an email from my lawyer. The subject, congrats. I stop, a hard full stop like a deer in headlights. It has to be it. This is everything I've been excited for. Everything I wanted. My future, scary and unpredictable, all sit in an email just waiting to be opened. I'm ecstatic and also petrified. I know when I open the email and read her words that not only am I starting a new chapter, it's a whole new goddamn book. Honestly, in that moment, I'm afraid and jealous of my soon-to-be ex. I'm so angry that he's taken the coward's way out through this whole process. Never did he experience the heartache or trauma or frustration or jealousy and inadequacies that I felt. Like the vile toad that he is, he jumped from my lily pad to hers and never even got wet. Meanwhile, I'm in a pond with no lily pads in sight and I feel like I'm sinking. I listen to my own thoughts and I'm disgusted with this woe is me mentality, but it can't be shook. I think I have the right to feel this way, but the badass in me refuses to show the world the fear that I'm suppressing. I swallow hard and I open it. It's done. We're done. The process is done. I'm free. I should be drinking, popping the bubbly and celebrating. But I think what people don't say is that when you divorce, it's more like death. Death to a life that you had. Death to the stability that you thought you had. Death to the comfort that you've grown accustomed to. Now I ask myself, what do people do in times of death and despair? They eat. Check, did that enough already. They find comfort in friends and family. Check, my loved ones are my rock whom I rely on heavily. They remember the good times? Check, I have my boys as a constant reminder that even though it went south, I have two amazing people to show from it. They move on, there it is, move on. I need to look to the future. No, not just a romantic one, but a future that's mine to take. Decisions that are mine to make. Memories that are mine to create. And for once I can be selfish. I can make the calls that benefit my boys and I can grab life by the horns and tame that bitch. Put its head on my mantle as a reminder of the time that I found bravery and faced life head on. So loyal readers who sat with me from the beginning, let this be the post that you've been waiting for. A woman who's come full circle. A woman who might not have created a perfect circle, but she's trying. A woman who will still have major bumps and divots ahead, tackling him persistently, asking for money and moving, and just being a plain old jerk. Some of you will stop reading, and if this is our goodbye, then I thank you and I wish you the best. Some may continue to read only to hear what becomes of my ex-husband and the future karma he may face. I found it so helpful for myself to be real, honest and vulnerable in my writing. I hope I've helped some of you in the process, and for that reason I'll continue to write. For you and for me. I've navigated this whole experience blindly. and I've revealed to you my story and my sacred inner thoughts, so I leave you with just one more piece of advice. Stay classy, sassy, and a bit badassy. Facelift drama. 14th of December 2021. I thought it would be easy. The weight dropped and instantly supermodel thin, but that's a lie. Anyone who says the drama ends with divorce is lying to you. It's a trap. That person can't be trusted. The problems just change. It's like drama got a facelift, but it's still ugly at its core. The house is sold, the huge check has been deposited, and here comes the troll from under the bridge. He furrows his brow and demands his money and new custody. Just when I feel like we reached a stale tolerance of each other, here comes the dramatics. Here's the latest struggle. Trips to her state with the kids. He wants them for Christmas. I agreed. Christmas Eve with me and Christmas Day they hop a plane to sunny so-and-so, and they spend the holiday week as a family. Cute, right? I asked they'd be back for New Year's Eve and my birthday. That was a struggle. But New Year's Eve is my holiday this year, he protested. Okay, but Christmas Day is a shared holiday which I'm giving to you. Reluctant compromise, but compromise nonetheless. Then he starts to inquire about taking our 5 and 9-year-old on random weekend trips there. Do you even understand the exhaustion that they'll feel Monday in school after 2 trips at 5 hours each way in less than 72 hours? How is this what's best for them? I think it's what you want. They desire to play house, but it's not what's best for them. I suggest that he look to take them on extended weekends or spring break. He then says that he expects a problem with holidays when he moves. I remind him our MSA says that he'll come here 1 weekend a month, not the other way around. He's out of his gourd if he thinks I'm going to allow our children to fly that often during the school year. But don't worry, loyal readers. I'm honestly not sure how many of you are left. This is something that I won't budge on. Our MSA states the custody. He comes here. They do not go there unless it's for 4 or 5 weeks in the summer. Sorry, playhouse with her kids, not with ours. He's grumpy and accuses me of doing what I please and expecting everyone to fold. I remind him I followed the custody schedule that he wanted, compromised on his travel and holidays, and have even negotiated a small amount of cash for him. How am I winning? I'm being too nice. I am folding. But since he didn't get everything he wanted, I'm the bad guy. Sire, hello narcissist, it's been a while but you're still around and staying strong. My thought is if I stay strong and firm about him coming here, he'll eventually stop coming. Is that terrible? Kinda. Is that necessary? Also kinda. I don't know what the best thing is. Perhaps I'll let my feelings about them playing house hurt me, but I have to remind myself that it will probably be short-lived. Something about leopards and spots. I remind myself to stay focused on the real issue, the boys. This'll all come to a conclusion and eventually run its course. Stay strong, stay firm, just until this eventual move. Time heals and time reveals truth. Time I need it to hurry up. Christmas karma. The 29th of December 2021. For months, the ex and I have gone back and forth about the topic of travel for the holidays. In October, he suggested he take the boys to her state for the holiday. I agreed, but wanted them home for New Year's Eve and my birthday celebration. Easy peasy, no fuss, no muss. Then, a few weeks later, he complained that he wouldn't have the boys for either holiday. Christmas Day is a shared day, so I reluctantly agreed to return the boys on the evening of the 24th, so they may spend Christmas Day in her state. All was well with that decision yet again. Then I guess the little birdie that he cheated with chirped in his ear again, and he came back a few weeks later and demanded he get New Year's Eve as well. It was technically his holiday, but I gave him Christmas Day for it. I should fly out to pick up the kids if I wanted them back for New Year's Eve. Sigh, this co-parenting with the affair partner's input is tiring. Realising that we could never compromise, I told him that we stick to our legal agreement. We share Christmas Day, and he gets them New Year's Eve to be returned on the 1st. He was not happy with this deal either. Bottom line, if he doesn't get 100% of what he wants, he isn't happy. But I know sticking to only the legal agreement will benefit me and the boys in the long run. I know this because earlier this month he said when he moves across the country, it'll be expensive and difficult for him to come back here every month to visit as our MSA states. He wants the boys to go there monthly instead. Oh no. We're not shuttling 2 young boys across the country every month because you no longer like the legal agreement that we made. I emailed my lawyer and I gave her a heads up that this was his thought process in case the situation gets sticky in the months to come. Her and I are prepared. So by sticking to the MSA now, I can give zero wiggle room in the months to come. On Wednesday, the 22nd of December, I got a call from the school nurse telling me that my 5-year-old was a close contact of a positive student in his class. I called my mother immediately to have him picked up. I scheduled a COVID test for both boys and then I called my ex. His first response? Well, that f***ed up my trip. Oh my god, insufferable. Yeah, our son's fine, thanks for asking. Now both boys are close contact and can't travel. So what does he do? He boards an earlier flight and disappears. Well, I shouldn't be surprised. I guess spending Christmas with her kids was more of a priority. I know some of you will say, what about his health? He's risking exposure too. Well, my son was exposed on Monday the 20th. My ex had both boys the 20th to 22nd. He wouldn't be risking exposure. He was already exposed in this case. I'm sharing this story now as I wanted to wait for their COVID tests, but after months of back and forth and him changing our arrangement, the boys don't even end up going. He says that he's devastated that the boys couldn't go but had zero issue bailing early and not seeing them at all for Christmas. Both boys are fine and they're actually getting tested again tomorrow for their return to school next week. Now that I know that they're not sick, I can only assume this whole thing was karma. His selfish behaviour and hard-headed mentality was for nothing. Karma. My ex called at 7:30 p.m. Christmas evening to have a 90-second chat with them and has yet to ask me how anyone feels. Didn't even ask about test results. I wonder if a fair partner knew this was why the boys didn't travel? Perhaps he lied and said that I was not allowing them to. I only say this because she has a small child who's not of vaccination age. I really hope for that child's sake that my ex isn't an asymptomatic carrier. I will be requiring him to get tested as well before he picks up the boys on the 4th. I'm sure he'll say he's fine or just say that he got tested already, to which I'll ask to see the results. I've learned the hard way that his words mean less than nothing. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. The boys and I had a fantastic time. Happy New Year to you all. Sayonara Sucker, 19th of January 2022. While I've always been good at thinking a few steps ahead and seeing the writing on the wall before it was even written, there was one thing I was always sure of. He was moving. For months he danced around it. Why? Excellent question. I wish I could answer it. There are lots of questions I wish I had answers for. But one thing was always obvious. He was leaving to live a life with her and her children. Now let's analyse this logically. Why would you have an affair with a woman across the country, visit every other weekend as well as long holidays, if you never had any intention of living there and making it work? Just that piece of evidence is all you need, but wait, there's more. My boys told me before Christmas that Daddy got a job at a big well-known company. I told them that wasn't correct, thinking that he told them he worked there just so that they would understand that he worked for a company in some capacity, putting like a face to a name, if you will. So when I finally asked him, purely in conversation, he told me the boys were right. And I hope you're sitting down for this news. His office is located in her state. So why would you take a job in her state if you weren't sure if you were going to move there? I also sent him a custody schedule early this month that runs through May 1st, and he has never even looked at it. Normally he's quick at responding and telling me weekends that he's booked to travel to her. Something wasn't right. And lastly, his lease is up on the 1st of March. No way he was going to re-up for a year. Sometimes I feel like I need to check myself in the mirror. He must see idiot written across my forehead somewhere and I have yet to find it. So he texted me yesterday to tell me the news. This isn't news. This is information that you've known and have withheld. I don't, and probably never will, understand why he can't be transparent. I'm not asking for personal details. I need information to schedule the rest of my life. Literally the rest of my life. Because as I and many of you have speculated, I doubt that he'll be in their lives for much longer. Is that sad? Yeah, it's superficially sad. The boys won't have a father around. But he wasn't really the father they needed. Yeah, lately he's been better, but it really was a last-ditch effort to save the fragile and awkward relationship that they have. I think about how 10 years from now, when they're older and understand, I have no idea how they'll react towards him. Knowing that he had an affair, fought me constantly, then disappeared 4 months after our divorce was legalized, might really alter the relationship the three of them have as adults. Yeah, how he maintains that relationship over the next few years will be important. I hope for everybody's sake there's some effort, but as a Magic 8 Ball would say, outlook not so good. The upside is my child support is more than doubling. This will be helpful as I've been house hunting and that extra money would help me get a better house for the boys and I. I'm excited for this. The boys are excited for this. I think the three of us are eager to start our lives over. They have already asked to come see houses with me, to pick out their bedrooms, and they're excited for the possibility of getting a pool. I hope I can check all of their boxes. They deserve everything. Probable prediction 17th of the 2nd, 2022. I'm almost there. I have every type of emotion swirling through me. Will I miss him? Hell no. But I think what controls me the most is the probability that he will be selfish right until the end. Oh yeah, of course he will. Let me give you some context. He's moving. Bye, see ya, don't let the door hit ya. Now, any normal well-adjusted person would prepare, right? Oh no, not him. Instead, he spent his child-free weekends in her state. I learned through mutual friends that he was celebrating birthdays of her friends, paintballing, and of course treating her to a fancy Valentine's Day evening. Again, normally this would be none of my business and I would have no reason to care, except he's already hinted that he will not be taking the kids the last weekend of the month as scheduled, apparently opting to enjoying his weekends, and then giving giving me the children on his scheduled weekend to finally handle his priorities. But who cares about my time, right? But I asked more importantly, what about the kids? Is this see you later, only to disappear like a thief in the night? No explanation, just a normal goodbye that translates to goodbye forever? Here's my prediction. He's currently across the country. He'll return on Monday the 21st to have the kids for 2 nights and then disappear. Poof, Houdini himself couldn't pull off a better trick. The greatest disappearing trick of all time. Now let me tell you what brought me to this idea. It wasn't a crystal ball, but simply his inability to provide detail. He has sold everything that mattered to him, or was worth anything. Years of expensive memorabilia piled into a U-Haul and sold. He's also having his car shipped across country. Good idea, but when I asked when it was being shipped, he told me, the guy hasn't given me a date. So you hired a company and told them that you're out of here on the 1st of the 3rd, and they have not given you a ship date? My guess? He has a date that he isn't willing to share because he knows it'll prevent him from being here for his parenting time. I've seen this movie so many times. At this point, I can recite the dialogue. When I talked to him about this, he claimed that he was doing the best I can, and I don't have any help, so I offered to help. I told him that I'd offered to help him pack up things on both weekends, but he chose to be in her state instead. His reply? Stop trying to control the situation. Wait, I offered to help because you had no help and you classified that as me being controlling? That bothered me, not because he's a I know that part can't be helped, but because he knows me. He knows that wasn't a controlling comment, so why say it? I realised that he said this because he has to. Me being a good person brings him guilt. He knows this movie's selfish. He knows he's been difficult. He knows the affair was wrong, but it's easier to make me the villain than to face his own faults. Perhaps he's told so many lies about what an evil person I am to his affair partner that he now believes them. Whatever the reason, the chameleon has now changed his colour. He's now her shade and will blend in and mimic whatever she feels. This is something narcissists do. He's charming and agreeable to her. If she has an opinion about me, it's now his opinion as well. She's his new supply, and he'll drink it up. He'll mould himself to everything she is, until he gets bored. Until the allure fades and daily life and routine set in, and she's no longer feeding his ego. And then what? Then he does what he did to me, yeah, 100%. He pulls away, he resents, he's secretive and he cheats. And then vilifies. Again, the chameleon will change their colour. It's just the chameleon's nature. He will do the exact same thing over and over again. Goodbye and hello. The day came and the day went. Last Saturday, the 26th of the 2nd, he left. Yep, my prediction was right. He said he wasn't changing a cross-country trip to keep the kids his last weekend, even though just a few days before he said things are up in the air about the move. I wish I knew something about gambling because I could have bet it all and won. I'm sure anybody that's kept up with my story since the beginning also knew the odds of him leaving early were a good one. We could have all made a few coins. He dropped off some things to the house on Thursday evening and said bye to the kids. It wasn't emotional or long-winded, just a hug and goodbye. The next day I went to his place to get the larger objects that did not fit in his car. We packed my car in silence, and then once the trunk was shut, the awkward moments began. Do I just leave? Throw him deuces and jump in my car? What's the protocol for saying goodbye to the man you were married to for 10 years, knew for 15, had children with, cheated on you, etc. So I just said, well, I guess that's goodbye. Good luck to you out there. He then looked at his feet and started shifting his weight. No, this can't be what I think it is. Is he sad? He then says, come on, you're going to make me cry. I'm going to make you cry? Just that statement made me furious. So I said, why the hell would you cry? Every decision that you've made for the past 18 months was all for this moment. You wanted this and you got it. He wanted validation, he wanted reassurance. Bottom line is, he's comfortable with me and he knows I'm a logical person. He wanted me to tell him this was the right thing to do. That it was okay that he's leaving the kids. Hell, maybe that it's okay that he cheated. I guess my comment made him realise the days of moral support are long gone, and he stiffened up. I turned to get into my car, and as I left I said, so much for the past 15 years. He scoffed. Good, he's angry with me again. I prefer that. I spoke to him for the first time yesterday since he left. The boys' spring break is in a month and the plan was that they would be going to him for the week. I sent him a message asking about dates and he did not seem eager. He said that he had to look at a calendar and work on things on his end. He didn't jump at the comment I made about keeping them for Easter and my oldest birthday either. Something's up. Turns out her children will be in school that week and they both have to work. Who will watch and entertain the kids for a week? He's not going to make it work. I don't think he can even if he wanted to. To all my betting people, what are the chances the boys go visit him for a week in April? Now on to new business. I met someone. Well, I didn't just meet someone. I've been dating someone since December, and I dare say, he's really amazing. I've hesitated to say anything as honestly I'm scared. I'm afraid the same thing will happen to me again. I'm afraid to introduce the boys to somebody and then it dissolves. I'm afraid of truly opening up to someone again. But I will say so far, he's completely different than my ex. Good. I'm cautious, but I'm enjoying his company and affection and attention. He knows my story, he's been in the room while I've had phone calls with my ex, has heard all the gaslighting firsthand, and I think he's being very patient with me because of this. I warned him early this would take me time and he understood. I'm not the same woman that I was 2 years ago. That's not a good thing or a bad thing, it's the truth. So for now, I'm cautiously optimistic and just taking it day by a wonderful day with him. Oh, congratulations, OP. Radio silence. 28th of the 3rd, 2022. 10 days. That's when the boys' spring break starts. It's only 10 days away and still no word from the ex about airfare and travel arrangements. Back in the beginning of March when I asked him about this, we tried to figure out logistics. I say we, but it was actually me. I volunteered to pay my way to fly out there. I was going to have a mini vacation for myself after drop-off, and he would pay for the boys' airfare. He assured me that he had travel credits from their Miss Christmas trip, and all would be covered. Then radio silence, not a peep. I asked about dates, and he'd say that he needed to check his work calendar. Then it was I have to check our calendar. Lastly, it was the airline is giving me problems with my credit. So I waited. I waited 3 weeks. Tonight I had to make the call. I wish I never would have picked up the phone to dial his number. He informs me that his credit is for only one set of tickets. So he says, how do you want to work this? You want to pay their way here and I'll pay for their flight back? No, I do not want to do that. Hard pass. This is not my responsibility to pay. You agreed via our MSA to come here once a month. You decided it was too big of an expense and now want them to come to you. You moved across the country for a woman and left your children. Now you need to pay their airfare or come here. He told me that we have 50-50 custody, so travel expenses should be the same. He told me he spoke to people are obviously his girlfriend, and they think our arrangement is absurd and unfair. Of course. Okay there, Chief, whatever you say. Please show me the law degree of said people. He said that our whole MSA needs to be changed. Want to change it? No problem, get a lawyer. He won't because financially he can't. He can't afford to pay $2,000 in airline tickets, but can afford a lawyer? We went in circles arguing the same points, and I realised none of us were being heard. So I told him to get a lawyer and I hung up. So I opened my wallet yet again, and I called my lawyer. That's one bill that I'll never be angry about paying. She told me that he can make demands until he's blue in the face, but until he hires a lawyer and files for the change, it's all just hot air. Then again, after he files, she's confident that a judge will see his reneging on our legal agreement as a negative. Then the judge will ask why he moved away, and when they said that it was purely for his benefit and not at the best interest of the children, he will not alter the agreement. Best part is, if he files, he'll have to travel back to my state to attend court, but doesn't want to travel here to visit the kids. Moral of the story, he never really cared about the kids. It was all about besting me. Besting me out of money, time, sanity, the list goes on. The hard truth is, he has moved on. I was perfectly fine with him moving on and leaving me behind. I welcome that. But the kids, that hurts. They're slowly asking less about him, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Bad for him, I'm sure, but for the kids, it might just be the best. Game time, 21st of the 4th, 2022. I'd like to introduce you to a new game that I play. Some who are survivors of infidelity and a narcissist might be familiar with this game. I like to call it Healthy or Trauma. Being in a new relationship after you have left a cheater is hard, mentally and emotionally. I find myself loving every minute with him. I enjoy the comfort that we give each other. But I also find myself analysing things more than I ever have. I have not been in a healthy relationship, so I often find myself wondering what's normal and what's not. Is this action, behaviour or response a healthy one, or am I doomed to make the same mistake again? For the first few months I played this game in silence. He ignored what I said to him when he was watching the game. Normal? I had to ask him to help me with something. Is that normal? He answered a text and put his phone in his pocket. Is that trauma? He plays a video game and disappears for a bit. Trauma? He's been unbelievably patient with me and navigating me through this new relationship, and it's made me so comfortable. The trust is building, but it's not sturdy. It's not the Empire State Building. More like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It was becoming exhausting playing this back and forth game in my head. I knew I didn't want to make the mistakes I've made in the past. Am I being too cautious and overanalyzing? Yeah, probably. But who wouldn't in my place? Was I getting in my own way by doing this? What should I do to ensure this relationship is healthy and grows? I decided to start at the beginning. I wanted to correct the first wrong step that I took with my ex, not communicating properly. So I told him about my game. I told him that I overanalyze. He knew this part already, but the game bit was new. And I questioned if things are part of a healthy relationship, or am I leading towards trauma again? He understood, he laughed, he comforted, he hugged. While I've not been able to stop playing the game, I'm now no longer the only player. He understands my thought processes and communicates with me. He sees the wheels turning in my head and puts them to a grinding halt. I apologize to him for how my mind works, and he won't hear of it. We are rebuilding, he says. Yes, we are. And that's the end of post number 4. And that's also all I can do for today. I'm definitely losing my voice. That was wild. I'm so proud of OP too. Like, OP's doing such a good job. And I can't wait to see where this goes. So in the next episode, we'll be doing post number 5. And there are 9 parts. And also, it's the longest saga that I've ever seen. So it probably is better to be in multiple parts. So I feel like this might be a 3-episode saga. I don't reckon I'll be able to get it all in the next episode. But that's okay. It's an absolute adventure. All the best to OP. I hope OP's doing okay. This was posted 5 years ago. So I'm not sure how OP's going now. We probably do have a few more recent updates. And we'll get to them very soon. But yeah, I cannot get over how insufferable the ex is. Just so bad. This has already been so frustrating and so insufferable. Like what OP's dealing with the ex, so infuriating. Okay, let's read something wholesome. My cat forgets what a Christmas tree is every year, and it's wonderful. That is so cute. The absolute amazement in that cat's eyes. Oh my God, what am I looking at? This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. That's so beautiful. And also, speaking of cats, Nez was in the basket for the whole episode. Isn't that so beautiful? I'm so grateful for Nez. The comment of the day today goes to Link's cat. This one was on the cruise control saga. After hearing this saga, I hope OP's doing okay and that she's in a better place. Yes, same here. That saga was terrifying. And it ended in a pretty scary way because it wasn't over. And you could tell that cruise control was going to keep on doing what cruise control was doing. But yeah, same here. I really hope OP's doing okay. That was a horrifying episode. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you for the support, everybody. I really appreciate it. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!